Hello, everybody. I think I have said before that Monday is always the day that I find it hardest to stream on because it's just long enough away from my last stream that I kind of get out of the habit of how streaming sounds. Also, if my background is a tiny bit too high, let me know. You only watch for 2 hours, then it's Leah time, only Leah. I mean, I understand. But yes, gentlemen, there is an awful lot to talk about. I ended my Wednesday stream thinking, what the hell am I going to talk about on Monday? And then Friday happened. And ever since then, well, I feel like it's safe to reveal that Kirsha was very, very worried that she would, in her own words, have a negligible impact on Offkai this year. Things are, as the kids say these days, popping off. I quite agree. In fact, I think it's reasonable to bring this up. Let's put this back on stream. Hello, Thrang. Hello, Thrang. It's lovely to see you. It's lovely to see everyone here. Thank you very much for joining me. I have got a lot of stuff to talk about. Good grief. I think I'd also like to thank everybody who has put up with my rather verbose posts over on TVA. All of the kind of what people would probably term politisburging and so on, because I do think that Offkai is going to be something of a flashpoint for change in the VTuber community. Because I have no idea how many people here watch the Side Scrollers podcast, where Kirsha appeared a couple of hours ago now to discuss the whole situation. One of the guys there on Side Scrollers podcast, I have no idea who he is. Like, I don't watch Side Scrollers, but he said to her outright, do you want to do anything about this, like convention-wise? And then he said, you know, I have run events with 15,000 people in them. Like, maybe we should talk sometime about maybe a competitor to Offkai or whatever, or a meetup. And I remember bandying that concept around in her Discord, and everybody was like, that could never, ever happen. That could never, ever happen. There's no way. Nobody cares about me enough. Nobody cares. That was probably Stuttering Craig. Okay, thank you. I vaguely know what Screw Attack is. Good grief. Screw Attack is an old name. I have not heard that name for a very long time. Hello, Arclight. Hello, Azihara. Oh, hello, Magdalena's Rex. Board. Amdis Pontivecchio. I don't know if it's Vecchio or Vecchio. I apologize. They're probably both wrong. Hello, also Mumbathrax. And I think this highlights a real problem in VTubing. That because VTubers are mostly rather self-conscious, relatively young women, they very much underestimate the power that they hold. They greatly underestimate all the resources they have at their disposal, and they find it very difficult to believe in themselves. They find it very difficult to grasp that they have a great deal of love, a great deal of affection, and, well, a great deal of parasociality attached to their names. Like, if you regularly stream to 500 or more people, that is the equivalent of, like, being a mid-level politician, to be perfectly honest, in terms of reach and influence, because those 500 people have had so many other opportunities to go and find somebody else to watch instead of you. Those aren't just 500 viewers. Those are 500 very dedicated fans who have been exposed probably to thousands of different people that they could watch instead of you, and they've chosen to take that time out of their lives to watch you instead of going out to a bar, instead of talking to their friends, instead of playing games. And really, I think a vast number of streamers, perhaps even me, underestimate the amount of value that are placed on the content that we create. Armies of young men just waiting to be useful for something at their disposal, yes. This is another thing that I have really come to the conclusion on. I before I started really socializing with large groups of people on the internet in the way that I do as the admin of TVA, my best friend Alex went through the regular education system, whereas I was homeschooled. We're very similar in a lot of respects, and I used to say to him occasionally, Alex, I think that you have autism like I do, and we have very similar personalities, but I feel as if I was left behind by the world. I was isolated because I was homeschooled, whereas you had the benefit of going through mainstream education. You learned how to socialize with people properly. You learned how to talk to normal people. You learned how to deal with individuals in a way that I don't have experience with. And he told me that he feels pretty much the reverse, that I had the advantage because I was given a perspective on the world and I wasn't forced, I was allowed to develop my own perspective, and I wasn't forced to conform to the common perceptions of the rest of the world. Yeah, exactly, Monarchal Foreigner. Mainstream education benefit. I'm guessing you're going to say pick one next. Yeah, I have learned so much differently. Like, just in the past 48 hours, one of the main reasons why I needed to rush to prepare material for this stream is in the last 48 hours, I have had multiple people confiding things in me and talking to me, and they've all said the same thing. You're one of the only people that I can trust to talk to about certain issues that are going on in my life, or certain topics that my friends are just completely incapable of understanding. I had somebody say to me that they can never even mention politics in any context to any of their friends. And I don't mean like politics as in, oh, I think we should do this or that, but just mentioning certain things they hear on the news, and their friends just immediately say, oh, unless you think of this in this exact way, you are automatically a Nazi. You are automatically a Nazi, or you are automatically like a hardcore leftist SJW who shouldn't be given the time of day. Bored. As someone who went from private to public and finished off in homeschool, I have a hard time socially bonding with those who were public school educated. Yes. And I've always considered that to be a disadvantage in my life. Until the last year or two of my life, when I think no. Because I've said this multiple times to people in the past. In the kingdom of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And I see so much evidence of that, because I feel quite often as if I only have one eye open in the world, because I haven't had anywhere near the amount of physical experience that people like Kirsha, people like I talk to on the internet have had. I haven't been to many different places. I've been to America and I've been to England. Those are the only two countries in my life apart from Ireland that I've ever visited. I've had my IRL social circle is my church and my local men's club, which is 95% either mentally disabled people or people over the age of 65. And yet people have constantly told me, Proctor, you have a perspective on things, you have an experience, you have a wisdom that I've never seen before. Nobody else in my life, nobody else in my huge social circle of hundreds and hundreds of people on Discord or on Facebook or wherever, none of those people has the same kind of perspective that you do. I talk to you and I come away thinking as if I've gotten real advice, that I've spoken to somebody who understands the world, who isn't just going to say... I have had so many people say to me, it's disturbing to me, say to me, you're the only person who doesn't tell me, just follow your heart, or just do what you feel is right, when I ask them for advice. Like, that sounds hyperbolic, but no, I have had that said to me by 4, 5, 6, 7, or more people. It's always the same. This world is just completely out of control. Nobody is given good advice any longer. Nobody has anything to base their morality on. Nobody has anything to base their public perception on. Everybody is just playing pretend. Everybody is just miming what they vaguely intuit is the right way to live without any concrete basis for that. I find that's tragic. I find that is so tragic. It's what provides me with such powerful motivation to keep talking to people, because it's honestly very tiring. It can hollow you out when you have multiple people talking to you like that. But I want to do that because when I was growing up, I had to do those things. And I was so, so lucky to have not just good parents, but also good friends on the internet, like my best friend Alex, who I was able to grow up with and was able to get good advice from and bounce ideas off of. And I think if I never contribute anything more to the world than this, it is that I just want to be there for people who have nobody else and say, I understand what you're going through, and I would like to give you some advice that I think would work for you. Because even that tiny amount of compassion, that tiny amount of sincere advice is probably going to be, because of the sorry state of the world, that advice is probably going to be one of the most profound things they have ever heard in their entire life. And I think that is very, very, very sad and very, very, very depressing. But I'm not going to let it get me down. I already have like 6 or 7 more DMs. Good grief. Before we head into things, I've had a really interesting... I've already said, haven't I? I've had a really interesting... Like last night, yesterday, on Sunday, I got up at 9:20 a.m. I had 4 hours sleep the night before. I spent the entire day outside in the garden working on gardening. And then I came back home. When I came inside and I sat down and I spent the entire night talking to people and helping them through their problems and offering suggestions and connecting people. And then halfway through, while I'm literally in VC talking to somebody, I hear all my birds start to scream outside, like absolute, complete pandemonium, and my dog starts barking as loud as he possibly can. And so I say, I'm sorry, I have to pause this here. I have to pause this deep emotional conversation we're having, and I need to rush outside, because I think that a fox is trying to eat my guinea fowl. And so I ran outside, and I also want to note that it was a storm at the time. There was a storm raging outside, and it was pounding rain. And so I rush outside with a torch in the pounding rain, leaving this person on mute. And it turns out there is a fox actively trying to break into my guinea fowl run. And so I have to chase the fox away in the pouring rain, and then I have to open up the guinea fowl run, because the guinea fowl have all thrown themselves around on the inside of their box. And I have to shoo these guinea fowl back inside their box, which they've broken out of because they've been so panicked. And then I have to close everything back up. And during that time, one of them actually, because guinea fowl are powerful birds, they are very powerful birds. They have powerful wings and they have powerful feet. One of them, because it's pitch black, it's raining and it's in a panic, it flies up in the air and it actually smacks me straight in the face. It hits me like this, I don't know how much they weigh, but several kilograms of very terrified bird just smacks me right in the face. And it actually scratches my ear. It causes my ear to bleed. And I have to grab this insane, crazy, screaming bird and wrestle it back into its box and shut the door behind it. And then after all that, I need to come back in and continue listening to this person in VC talking about all of their issues, and be back to like, okay, I've just saved all my birds. Let's go back to talking about the problems that you have. Okay. I don't want to tell that story to illustrate to people the kind of the kind of life that I've been leading for the last couple of days. Because, Dan Fox is causing a ruckus online and off. Oh yeah, and I had to go out again in another hour or two and scare away this fox. It came back. I heard my dog started barking again. And so I had to go outside a second time. Though fortunately it wasn't raining quite as much. And I had to chase off this fox for a second time. Now fortunately everything is secure outside. It's not a storm any longer. Everything is properly doubly secure compared to what it used to be last night. So everything is fine. So I probably will not be interrupted in the same way tonight. Surely this is your Kitsune wife in disguise. Oh, I wish. I really wish. I really wish. I'll be able to afford that plane ticket at some point. Proctor. Hello, Lumi. Hello, Lumi. It is very nice to see you. Welcome to the stream. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Just give me a moment to catch my bearings and everything, because as I say, I was up till 7:15 a.m. yesterday. After getting up at 9:20 a.m. the previous day. So I was awake for something like nearly 24 hours in a row. So, yeah, I took advantage of the fact that it was raining all day to just lie in bed till I think about 2:30 p.m. to try and catch up a little bit on the sleep debt. And tomorrow morning I have to be up at 9, probably around 8:40 to catch a ride into this new course that I'm starting. I'm starting a course on 3D printing, which I snapped up through the availability of third spaces, which is not a topic for this stream, but I really need to do some kind of stream on social awareness and third spaces and the importance of community, because good grief, the amount of opportunities I've gotten simply because I know a bunch of old people who are active in the community just does not. It's just amazing. If there is a bar near you where a lot of older, sensible people congregate to go for a drink, I very highly encourage any young person to go there and try and integrate themselves with that group. You will form more connections and you will get more opportunities in life than you will get if you spend like 10 years in college, or 10 years studying programming, or 10 years on social media. I guarantee you those people will know everybody who knows everybody who knows everybody for a good 200 miles in every direction. And because you're a young person, and because you take an interest in their older fuddy-duddy ways, and you sit around and you share stories with them as if they're your equals, then they will shower you with opportunities. They'll tell you about everything. They'll tell you about discounts from shops. They'll tell you about who is a good carpenter. They'll tell you who is a good person to buy produce from and who isn't. They will tell you what opportunities there are in the neighborhood. Bars in America, or at least in my area, is college frat boys, and they have left for summer. I mean, I just give bars as like one example. Basically, anywhere older people congregate, even if it's just a park or something like that. See, that's the tragedy. I hear so many people in America say, oh, like, I would love to have more of a social life, but yeah, I live in an apartment complex full of criminals and drug addicts and all this kind of stuff, and I feel that is dreadful. I feel that is just so tragic. That's why I say, if you get the chance to be part of any of those kind of old social structures, you should claw your way in as hard as you can, because you will not regret it. The number of doors that will open for you, the number of opportunities that will open for you, it's just, you can't compare it. You just can't. And I can't fully explain it unless you've actually experienced it. So that's just my recommendation. Now then, now that I have successfully rambled for a few minutes, the bars in Britain are older than my whole country. That helps. This is true, this is true, this is true. I have an enormous number of tabs, and I am very curious. I will actually, before we go into anything, I want to make a brief poll to... Have you watched Kirsche stream? No details. Read the DMs of the Offkai. Because I am definitely not going to be able to cover everything, and I want to make sure that I'm not covering stuff that every single person in this stream has already read and talked about. So if people could vote on the poll, then I will see what I will decide who I'm going to pay the most attention to. And I will just go and organize my tabs for about for just a few moments, because yeah, I would also hardly, I don't actually even know if Google lets you do it, but I have discovered tab groupings where you can just have a bunch of tabs under a labeled, if you right click on a tab in Brave, it brings up a bunch of options like add tab to reading list or add tab to group. It's probably in Chrome as well, because I believe that Brave is a Chromium fork, but I'm making so much use of that. I have needed to use that so much. Right, looks like a very large number of people have already read the Kirsha DMs. I saw the Azahara and Rev videos. Okay, and they cover it fairly extensively. So I'm not going to cover those parts of the saga in too much detail. However, I will go over them briefly, and there was also something interesting that I'm going to do a tiny bit of a reaction stream to something that Koinuko posted a couple of days ago, because Koinuko over on Twitch, she is also in my Discord, because she is a very cute and funny girl. She's had an awful lot of experience with Offkai, and she did a stream with a bit of information about it as well, so I'll be covering that later, probably after I have I have talked for a bit and my throat gets a bit sore. I'll let her take over a little bit. Anyway, where are we? I need to just... Where's the big one I saw? Where's the... Oh, I forgot that. That's an idiot. I didn't watch the whole stream, but I watched enough. Vertical tabs also helps a ton. I do agree. That's always useful. All right, it's fairly obvious where that poll is going, so I'll just end that for now. So, I think we will actually begin with the seething V-tweeters, because the seething V-tweeters have come out in so much force, and I think before we get into anything serious, before I start talking about like culture war stuff that will immediately make 30 people stop watching, I think we should laugh at some idiots. I really do think we should laugh at some idiots. There we go. I've got no Twitter messages. Good. So, the subreddit. Reddit is such a rational and wonderful place to find reasonable and highly informed critique about VTubers. And yeah, Reddit has kind of gone places. As Kirsha says in this tweet here, I've never checked this subreddit before, but typical hypocrite with double standards wants to paint me as a Nazi. For my April Discord name, I'd change it monthly, being XXX Sexy Bunny Girl Hitler XXX with two cigarette emojis. Sexy because it goes with bunny girls. Bunny because Easter. Girl because sexy bunny girls. Hitler because it's his birthday month. XXS because that was typical of online tags in the 2000s. The cigarettes because low weed month 420 blaze it. A joke isn't funny when I have the deconstructed from midwits, but the double standard of I am a shitty person gay-bashing liberal racist Hitler fangirl for making a Hitler joke when said person condemning me also makes a Hitler joke is the most annoying. These people have no standards and do not care about reality, just defeating perceived enemies they have created in their mind, and I will talk about that quite a lot later. I also never deleted my tweet condemning the doxes of Stone Toss, the only tweet I have ever made about him, because I am staunchly against doxing people no matter how many times these people try to lie that I'm not. We have Cinderbrook, who is a verified VTuber. I actually didn't notice that beforehand. I didn't even notice the verified VTuber tag. I wonder who Cinderbrook is. Yeah, Kirsha is a literal Hitler fangirl, a little more diabolical than Pippa's room temperature IQ takes. And the Phantom Cat here says, that's quite the claim. I have no doubt she's a shitty person. But do you have a source or specific reason for this? And then Cinderbrook says, her Discord username is Sexy Bunny Girl Hitler and literally spews anti-woke talking points. She went on a 2-hour rant about the Great Replacement. You okay? And then, Bag of Bad Legends, the only base take. The only base take. So are you saying that you wouldn't a Sexy Bunny Girl Hitler? And of course, like Cinderbrook, literally right below. And these are all like within 1 hour of each other. Adolf Picora is a war criminal. Would. I looked up Cinderbrook, they're a V-tweeter. Seething V-tweeters! The name of this tab, by the way, of like antis, is literally Seething V-tweeters. Yes, God forbid we make fun of and offend Hitler. Yeah, it's like Mel Brooks. I've asked this of multiple people on the internet. And they have never been able to give me a good answer about this. Like, they say you should never make fun of Nazis because you are cheapening the impact of Nazi war crimes. And so I say, or they say things like any representation of Nazi imagery on the internet is automatically a sign that you should be suspicious that somebody is dog whistling that they're an actual Nazi. Meanwhile, we have Mel Brooks. Let me just go here. This is Mel Brooks, a Jewish comedian, literally dressing up as Hitler. And pretty much his entire comedy routine was satirization and jokes about the Nazis and him dressing up as Hitler. And so I've asked people multiple times on the internet, if you think that any use of Nazi imagery whatsoever in anything but a completely negative context is a Nazi dog whistle, how do you explain that one of the most famous Jewish comedians of all time made his career on cosplaying as Hitler? They lose me right up. And I've never... That question makes progressive types completely explode. They have no answer to it, and they show their double standard instantly. Is that Pico Papa? Yep. Niripo. I have no doubt she is. Just tells me all I need to know about this person. They are not searching for the truth. They are just trying to confirm their biases. Yep. These people are all just completely insane. The Producers is god-tier comedy. I agree. I very highly encourage anyone to check out Mel Brooks' works, because Mel Brooks is a comedic genius. That guy is completely hilarious in every way, and he is the perfect example. This is why I very strongly encourage people to read and listen to and understand history, because we have this problem in the modern era that everybody thinks that history started when the internet began, that nothing before the internet ever existed. And it's a mindset that even people that did not know the internet keep using, because it's so easy to get swept up in the way the internet works and forget about all the past experiences of humanity before the internet became a thing. But if you do even the tiniest bit of research into older examples of the same kind of trends that we see leftists on Twitter bandying about as a new thing, then you will understand so much more about the progressive mindset and even your own politics, probably, or your own principles, and you will be able to tie them in knots, and it is always hilarious. Lefties overusing Nazi as a sub for people I don't like. Right-leaning of me does more damage. Re-Nazis and Hitler and their severity rather than mockery. It was leftist overreaction to fascism that boosted Hitler's popularity. People didn't want Hitler until Jewish communists intimidated them into a corner to vote him. I mean, I don't personally know all that much about that, but I can believe it. History started with 9/11 and Al Gore inventing the internet. I'm old enough to know what that meme is. So, Cinderbrook then expounds, as a V-tweeter, another one of those free speech people. Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences in the free marketplace of ideas, dude. Deplatforming is, and will always be, okay. Private company, private platform. The First Amendment protects your freedom of speech against retaliation from the state, not the public or private interest. You can't go to prison for your protected speech. It has zero to do with being protected from consequences from non-state actors or private interests. They can decide whether or not they want to have your content. Being deplatformed means you lost in the free marketplace of ideas. As for Kirsche, she's a little more than saying something people didn't like. She's a literal racist, gay-bashing Hitler enjoyer. Her Discord name is Sexy Bunny Girl Hitler, for F's sake. And there's this quote, "This world doesn't revolve around you, your feelings and your beliefs. There's going to be people you just don't like. Get over it and move on with your life." My favorite right-winger chirp. Yeah, you're right, it doesn't. It so doesn't revolve around her that the people she doesn't like told her to go kick rocks. I guess she can just get over it and move on with her life. Go ahead, I'll wait. And here another fantastic take. She's a huge Stone Toss supporter as well. She was retweeting a bunch of pro Stone Toss tweets when they got doxxed, but she deleted those off her feed. Again, not a blanket condemnation of character, but support for a confirmed neo-Nazi. Even implied support is a bad look on everyone. And once again, Cinderbrook is like, I mean, her Discord username is Sexy Bunny Girl Hitler. Kind of all you need to know about her. Hitler also was boosted by a raw deal Germany got after losing the First World War. He offered a way to get revenge and scapegoats for why they ended in the shitter. Yeah, it is kind of funny, isn't it? I can think of definitely no comparisons to modern politics or anything like that at all. Also, thank you for pointing out that Brave allows to create groups. Didn't know how to use this feature. I didn't know. I literally just randomly clicked onto... I right-clicked onto the... Actually, didn't Stone Toss say something about that? Let me just look this up. Stone Toss, just build your own platform. Yes, here it is. Here it is. Like, I don't care what you think about Stone Toss's politics or anything, but yeah, Stone Toss is very, very on point an awful lot of the time. Yeah, don't like it, build your own Twitter. Don't like it, build your own payment processor. Don't like it, build your own government. I love this. This is one of his most iconic works for a very good reason. And it underlines and it effortlessly lampoons the very easy and very obvious answer to all of this. You can just go somewhere else. Yeah, but they follow you. They always follow you. You never get away from them. And I also asked around for thoughts on answers to the whole, because I don't like to always just give my own thoughts and impressions on things. I like to ask my experienced friends, because there is wisdom in many advisors. And I asked, you know, what would you say to people that are like, oh, it's a private platform, they can do whatever they want? And my friend Alex just had this comment. That Kirsche makes people uncomfortable is all the more reason why people should be forced to listen to her sometimes. Also, without clear-cut, these topics are beyond the pale of what we want represented at Offkai, delineations. These people's deplatforming should be called what deplatforming is usually called, censorship. Exactly. And there is no difference between censorship and deplatforming. And it highlights a reality that I will talk about in a minute. I said on my Discord that, I might have actually said it on the forum as well, I forget, that the reaction to all of this would be far, far less negative if Offkai had simply stood up and said, look, we have had a long conversation with our staff and our volunteers, and we feel as if that to make Offkai that we have a vision for how Offkai should be moving forwards. And we understand that in order to pursue that vision, we need to implement a new set of standards and guidelines that content creators wishing to interact with our platform should follow if they want to be officially recognized. And then they should lay out what those standards and what those rules are. If they had done that, and then they had said, because of that, people like Kirsche are no longer welcome at Offkai in terms of official representation, but they are still welcome to attend through third-party booking or simply showing up on their own. If they had gone that route, I guarantee you the backlash against Offkai would be maybe 10% as large as it is now. However, as of today, Offkai has made no public acknowledgement on any level of what they have done to Kirsche. They have not provided a PR statement. They have not provided any kind of clarification for the incident. They haven't tried to publish their side of the story. Which just says to me that Offkai has no principles and has no standards. And you can deal with somebody who has standards, even if you don't like those standards. If you can, at the very least, have some level of faith that a person's stated standards, rules, and objectives are things they hold true to themselves and are things that they will uphold when they interact with you, you will be able to negotiate with them. But if your opposition has no public stated standards, rules, or anything like that, you are never going to be able to negotiate with them. They thought they would just get away with it. Exactly, Vale. They really thought they could just get away with it. Would an actual Hitler enthusiast wanting to be taken seriously and not be turned into a bunny girl? Murray, you're thinking too hard about this. You're putting too much thought into this. You need to stop. You're doing something very stupid. You're using logic and rationality. You should never do that. I think assuming that they ever had standards is a mistake. Yes. And I'm not going to talk about it too much because I covered it on a previous stream, but I feel like what happened to the Battletech community is a great example of this kind of problem. Give me just one moment while I look it up on TVA because it's one of my recent posts. But basically, the Battletech community was a community on Reddit and, in fact, on other places, which had a very strict no politics kind of rule setup. So they did not allow politics of either the right or either the left. And I think that is a very good example of why I have such a strong dislike for one of the narratives that has emerged on what I would consider our side. Where on earth is my post? Here it is, here it is, here it is. So I've got this. Yeah, I've got this right here. I won't bring it up on screen, but I will post it in chat because it is a very good example of everything here. But yeah, but the Battletech community had a very strong core fan base that did not allow politics, and their attitude was, "Wait, is my model not showing? Why isn't my model showing? Am I logged in properly on Discord?" Yes, I am. Okay, that's strange. Have I got the stuff mixed up? Oh, it's because I'm below. Sorry, I messed up my tabs. I can't concentrate without a live 2D. This isn't a live TV. This is just a PNG. Battletech, also called Macross in JP. This is a bad joke. It's a very bad joke. Yes, but to cover this briefly, an awful lot of people on TVA and on various other places have been saying, look, I think that it's sad that Kirsche got deplatformed, but she talks about politics, so I don't care about her, and I don't care about the left-wing activists either. I don't want to listen to either of them. I just want to game, and I just want to watch VTubers in peace. And let me just say, that is everybody's right, and that should be the standard. People should be allowed to simply game. They should be allowed to simply watch streamers in peace. They shouldn't have to engage their brains and think about politics. They shouldn't second-guess themselves or anything like that. That is the ideal standard. Unfortunately, it's not the world that we live in. Because we've seen time and time and time again. Battletech, we've seen it in Warhammer. We've seen it in conventions. We've seen it in tabletop RPGs. When you don't have any existing structure that is able to push back against progressive infiltration, your fan base is always doomed. And the whole no politics thing doesn't matter, because this is going to be a little bit philosophical, and I do apologize if this goes over the head of a lot of people. But I've said this before. Politics is nothing more than an attempt to take your personal principles and convince other people that they should have your principles too. All social interaction on some level is political, because politics is nothing more than interaction between you and somebody else where you have the goal of getting them to think or do something that you think would be better for them than what they are currently doing. So saying no politics is completely pointless to begin with. It doesn't matter. and it means absolutely nothing. Instead, what you should say, in my opinion at the very least, is there are a set of standards in this community, and everybody will be held to these same standards. And that should be what you have instead of no politics. Because when you say no politics and leave it at that, all that happens is that the infiltrators will start to manipulate you, and they will play not touching you. They are very good at saying at not touching you. They can use every tactic in the book. The reason Ayami never streams is she secretly gatekeeps and makes sure Hololive maintains its principles so it doesn't get infiltrated. She makes sure that they stay apolitical and Heil Japan. You don't care about the lefties. You should, since they care a lot about what you do. Exactly. Exactly. And I will also push back on the whole idea that we need to have the same... Oh, hello, Jinxaland Casio fan. It's the Stone Toss comic. Guy says, politics, I just want to grill for God's sake, and then the next panel he pulls out bug burgers with a surprised look. Yeah, that's a great example, Thrang. In fact, let me just Google that one. Stone Toss, I just want to grill. Politics. Yeah, I mean, Stone Toss is is so perfect. I don't care if you think that Stone Toss is a Nazi or not. This man's work is just incredible. Every argument that I want to make, he's just made a 4-panel comic that perfectly summarizes every problem with it. And I think this is a great example. Because what he's essentially saying in this comic is that you can go wherever you like in this world, and you can say, I am not going to engage with politics. But the problem is that somebody else will. And when they gain power, they are going to use that power to influence your way of life in ways that you can't ignore and you can't avoid. The far right isn't inherently totalitarian unless it's religious. Compare Pinochet to Mao. One told people to not be a commie, the other would send people to camps for not being sufficiently revolutionary. I lean to the left, so when Kirschet starts talking about topics I disagree, I just accept that stream is not for me. I don't shit in chat, especially over US politics that feels so alien sometime. I agree. Influence, they want to destroy it and supplant it. Yeah, but to do that, they first need influence. It's not a case, again... Something I want people to understand. The people that are saying, oh, your fan base is toxic and terrible and we want it deleted, those are only the surface level attackers. Those are the deception. Those are the people who are there exclusively for you to focus on and go, oh, you're our enemies. We should band together and we should fight you. It's while you're fighting those people, the people that say your fan base is terrible and racist and evil and should be destroyed, that the real activists are working behind the scenes, and they don't care about what you're doing to the useful idiots, because the useful idiots are just useful idiots. They're not intelligent enough to have the real power. Instead, what the real influencers are doing, they're going to the advertisers, they're going to the businesses, they're going to the writers, and they're opening DMs, and they're saying things like, we really like what you're doing with this franchise. We think that you're obviously a very passionate creator, but we also know that you are a very principled and honest person. And our concern is that the work that you're producing on, that you're writing, it might be just a little bit offensive to these people that are real fans of your work. And we think that if you change this one thing, then you would have a whole new audience, and we would be able to stand beside you and say that everything you're doing is right. And those people will gain influence slowly and methodically and carefully. And when they're in charge, you will have no options. And that's what happened to Battletech. That's what happened to Games Workshop. That's what happened to tabletop role-playing, is that people said, we hate the activists that are saying that our fan base should be destroyed. And they fought against those activists, and they defeated them. Those activists ran away. But then they came back home triumphant, and they saw that all their writers that produced all the D&D source material, that wrote the Battletech lore, that suddenly they'd all gone woke. Or they'd been replaced. And new investors had come in, and the company wasn't theirs any longer. And it happens over and over and over and over again. And the only way you fight it is by knowing how they operate and knowing how they work. Otherwise, everything that you place your love in, everything you consider escapism, is completely doomed. The Reaper knocking on the doors meme works here as well. I completely agree. But yes, I think it was Morgoth who made a series on progressive archetypes that explains who to look out for. I agree too. That Morgoth, I think Morgoth Reviews, he's a very good channel that I sometimes watch as well. I think I wholeheartedly recommend him. In fact, let me just look him. Morgoth Reviews. Nope, do not autoplay, please. Yeah, Morgoth Reviews is a great channel for people who want to look at this kind of stuff. And let me just link him here as well. Magdalenus Rex, this is why I'm afraid of cover going public. I hope Yagoo knows what he's doing, otherwise he might open the floodgates to its downfall, and I can see Hollow Girls forced to say trans rights or eat bugs. You can find politics in everything, and you may have a point. Doesn't change the fact that you may have just earned a tinfoil hat. Yeah, there are many tinfoil hats. Many tinfoil hats out there. I mean, I just look at the evidence that my eyes tell me. I know. Now, 10 years ago, I could go onto any D&D forum out there. Actually, more like 15 years ago now, because I'm an ancient old troll who lives under a bridge. And I could run a campaign with anything. I could run a campaign based on orc genocide. I could run a campaign where the orcs are all heroes. I could run a campaign where goblins are, all evil or they're all good. I could run a game where the elves are fascist. I could run a game where the elves are communist. I could express myself to the limits of my imagination. Now, there is not a single large D&D community that will accept those kind of ideas. If I go to any of the big D&D discords, any of the big D&D forums, any of those places, I cannot pitch a single controversial idea without 1,000 people immediately jumping down my throat and saying, you are being a racist, or we do not like the way this character concept of yours is coded, or we are very, very worried about whether or not that this particular faction bio that you've written may actually contain a fascist dog whistle. And I'm sorry, that's just, I'd refuse to accept that. And I am perfectly willing to dedicate unreasonable amounts of my time to protect the remaining hobbies that I have, because it's worth it. And the thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, doing all this stuff will exhaust you over time. You'll get burnt out. I disagree. I think that really focusing in on what makes your hobby so valuable to you, and learning as much about it as possible so you can protect it from infiltration and activists will actually make it much better for you in the long run. You will have a much deeper connection with what you love, because it's only by knowing what you love to the fullest extent possible that you're able to properly defend it. Porian, remember to always use a tinfoil hat made out of actual tinfoil, not aluminum foil. The aluminium would actually enhance the mind control while you stay woke, gamers. Danny D, oh, they've been trying, but Yagoo has said before he has no interest in making content for the West. The strategy is to make JP content that the West wants. And Yagoo is a very nice person for that. I think he is someone that deserves a tremendous amount of support, and I'm very glad that he's being rewarded. Who am I being beeped? Oh, good grief, there is so much stuff still coming in. About Offkai specifically, I think are legally allowed to not have Kirsha, but I think they shouldn't do that, and if they were going to do that, they should have clarified before, as I think you said, yes. And again, I want to clarify this with Kirsha. I mean, hopefully I'm not putting words in her mouth, because, she's a fox woman, and it is not for me to know the innermost workings of the mind of a fox woman. But to me, Kirsha is not trying to destroy Offkai. She is not trying to ruin the experience for other people. In fact, that was something she was terribly concerned about. She didn't want to hurt or upset other people at Offkai, and she hated the fact that Offkai was forcing her hand by treating her the way that she was, because her choices were either to be quiet and make it look as if she was a coward and that she would accept this kind of treatment, or speak up and potentially offend and upset other people and drag them in where they weren't concerned. And this is something that an awful lot of people have misinterpreted about it. I've gone onto, well, I've been forced, I have been shown places like VT, etc., that are all saying, why did Kirsha bring up Pippa? Why is she involving other people? This is her concern. This is her issue. She's trying to use Fishman to her advantage. She's trying to clout chase. She's trying to manipulate people. I can't believe she would do this. Ree! Those people are idiots, and they should be hit repeatedly with sticks. Kirsha has done exactly what she should have done. And I don't say that because I really like Kirsha. A few weeks ago, there was the Kenji situation. And during that, Sayu, aka the Queen of Zionism, Zion Lanza from Niji-Sanji, she got into a bit of a beef with the Kenji because Kenji called her a pedophile in one of his videos. And Sayu, without contacting Kenji directly, simply aired her thoughts on the Kenji situation. And people were very, very angry at Sayu for this. They said exactly the same things that they are saying about Kirsha right now. They said, oh, look at Sayu over there. She's not naming names. If she wants to go after Kenji, then why doesn't she just attack him directly? And on the other side, you had people saying, oh, look at Sayu, that terrible clout chaser. She's just out there talking about Kenji behind his back. All she wants is a little slice of this drama pie. How disgusting and despicable. And then we see how things went with Kenji. Is that Kenji, after he learned that Sayu had been talking about him, or rather had expressed her opinion in very general terms about the situation that Kenji was in, Kenji threw a complete fit about it, and he said that he was going to go after Sayu, that he was going to attack Sayu, that he doubled down on calling her a pedophile, and he doubled down on saying that she was worthless and that she should be harassed for what she had done. And then, after that, Legal Mindset just gives Kenji a little bit of a retweet, and he says to Kenji, hey Kenji, do you realize that you've just crossed the legal definition of defamation in all of this? And you should be a bit worried, because you do know that Sayu has proper legal representation, right? And for some very strange reason that I'm sure has no connection with that tweet at all whatsoever, within a few hours of that happening, Kenji had mysteriously issued a retraction to everything that he'd said about Sayu. And he went out and he tweeted, oh, I made a mistake. I don't think that Sayu is a pedophile, actually, after all. We've talked about it, and we're cool now. I'd just like to forget about all this, and I'd like to go do my own thing now. And then Sayu posts and says, you know, we've sorted things out. It's really good. I'm glad that he understands things now, and I'm glad that he no longer thinks that I am what he said I am. Now, why is this relevant? Why is this relevant? Because if I go on TVA now and I look this up, I will find multiple posts about Sayu, calling Sayu an idiot and a fool. Not just for engaging with Kenji in the first place, but also for accepting Sayu speaking up, check stream materials quick for a further example. Okay, I will. Thank you for that offer. Niji sisters, why doesn't Sayu move on with her life already? Okay, I'll look this up. But I'll just finish this story before I read this. As I was saying, Sayu was called out on TVA for doing this because people said Sayu is a coward for not fighting Kenji on this. So people went from, oh, Sayu should never have spoken about this, to then saying Sayu should have fought Kenji to the last. She should have sued Kenji's ass for this. So they flip-flopped on their opinions for this, and they kept finding new reasons to be angry at Sayu. And so I replied to these people, I disagree completely with all of this. I think that Sayu handled things perfectly. Because for one thing, Sayu never engaged with Kenji directly. Sayu never tried to start beef with Kenji. All that Sayu did was state her opinion on the story, and then she waited for Kenji to respond. And predictably, Kenji responded very, very negatively. And he responded very aggressively. And by responding aggressively, Kenji took away the moral high ground that he kind of sort of had. Because he wasn't defending himself from an accusation any longer. Instead, he was attacking. And then once he crossed the line, Legal Mindset steps in and he comments about this. And Kenji realizes what a damn fool he's made out of himself. And so, Kenji is then forced to publicly backpedal. So Sayu, without ever starting drama, without ever starting beef, was able to get the guy who had millions of people hanging on his every word, who considered him a protected minority. She was able to get that guy to back down. And she lost nothing, and she gained an awful lot of credit for that. You know, people on TVA are still like, oh, she's such a grifter and she's such a coward. And I find that despicable. I find that attitude completely despicable. She did everything right. And people flip-flopped from going, oh, she should never have said anything to start, to saying, oh, she should have followed through now that she started something. Whereas I disagree completely. And we see the same thing happening on VT right now with Kirsche. People are saying, oh, Kirsche should never have said anything. She should have shut up and just taken all this without thinking. And then people say, when she responded, oh, Kirsche responded in the bad way. She should have said this, she should have said that. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what Kirsche says. These people have already made up their minds. Because they don't understand, they want an extreme or nothing. Weird. Yes, that's a very good example, Jackie. VTubing is an amazing industry where you can win by doing nothing at all. Yeah, Ark liked, I think it's reasonable to assume that Kirsche spoke to Pippa about this before saying anything publicly. Yes. And Kirsche explains very clearly how everything went in her stream. And yet, of course, people don't bother to read. I don't think she will ever back down again because of what Nichi-Sanji did. I don't think she needs to. Yeah, I'll just look through this quickly. Nietzsche sisters, why doesn't Sayu move on with her life already? Oh gee, I wonder why. And then, good grief. I made a bait account, pretended to be a synchro knight. It was a lurker account to find shit. Some hoe found out and snitched on other synchro knights. Now I'm back to square one. It's okay, I learned from my mistakes. I'll be more discreet about the next one. Low-key, I want to join in. They might have seen you talking about it on your main and got suspicious about it. I'd say that if you should keep up the talking about the account to a minimum, people might not catch on so quickly. It is/was a really fun idea, though. I learnt my lesson. Next time I'll be quiet about it more when I make a new account. Told you someone would track you down. It's okay. I'll make the next one less obvious. Character redemption arc. Wink face, wink face, wink face. And I think that since Reinigan was the one who sent this to me, I agree with him completely. This is a great example of why it is so frustrating and so difficult for content creators to ever stand up in the public arena. And why I feel that people like Kirsche, people like Sayu, even if you don't agree with all of their positions, because I think Sayu, as far as I'm aware, is a fairly left-leaning person. She has quite stereotypical leftist views. She's a bit of an edgy girl, but that's about it. So I sincerely doubt we see eye to eye on many of our principles. But I will always compliment people like Sayu. I will always compliment people like Kirsha, because they stand on their principles and they refuse to give in to all of these ridiculous gay ops. And as Guildmage Troy says, all this stuff on VT is just Monday night quarterbacking from people who don't have the talent, skill, or drive to get into the Gridiron field and do it themselves. Magdalena's Rex, apparently there was a doc site which housed the sisters like a sort of asylum that recently was shut down. I'm not personally aware of that, I'm afraid. Parian, I hope Offkai gets taken down, not because of some deep-held convictions. I just want to feel FOMO if Amy has a meet and greet there. Oh yes, I forgot that you are very much a fan of the Spooder. Mind you, I'm a fan of the Spooder too. I don't really watch her, but my goodness, Amy is a lovely person. Hey, let's go back to the tabs again. Give me 1 second, please. Because there are so many examples of seething retweeters. Yep, we've already covered that one. Of course, that's all this is the thing itself. I'm sorry for flashbanging you, by the way. Oh, great, my flipping thing. There we go. Here's another example. Here's another great example. The lead writer for the game Bionicle Masks of Power has to lie about me and smear my name for attention. Weird, when game devs have the time to spread lies about content creators online. The first screenshot, I am watching a Vice debate with Vince Dio on model minorities. Second screenshots are words from the people in the debate mixed in with my own with no context. Third is from my playthrough of Papers, Please, where you work at a passport checkout. There are 0 real people or races being talked about in the game world. Fourth screenshot, yes, I am against financial reparations paid for by taxpayers, so that is not racist. And here we have this wonderful dead domain. They/them, trans person who infiltrated a hate church, vaporwave cult leader, writing leader on Masks of Power, made to Dawn and Back, cosplayer, comedian, writer. It's funny, they want to act like Kirsha just had a little different opinion, whoopsie, and not that her most recent videos play like white replacement 4chan conspiracies, and nobody sane would want such trash associated with their event. How do you become the leader of a game development studio, and then you have the audacity and the freedom, mind you, the freedom to go on Twitter and slander somebody else and bring up the idea of 4chan replacement conspiracies on what is probably company time? It's another warning to not step out of line. Yep. Sayu is quite literally California girl, so it's kind of expected. Yes, Nifco got taken down, and the tards are discussing the gay ops on Twitter. That's so tragic. Many such cases. It's a big club. It is a big club. It's not a business, it's a cult. Yep. And that's the thing. This is what happens when you don't stand up for your principles. This is what happens when you keep giving money to games development companies that hate you and want to see you gone from the industry. This is why you have to be an informed consumer. And that is where people are misled. People have the impression that to be an advocate for free speech, that to be an informed consumer on the internet is somehow politisberging, or that you somehow have to 24/7 be exactly like these leftists, where they say everything is racist, everything is sexist, and it's your job to point it all out. You don't have to be like that, because the way that you counter these narratives is simply to know what you are talking about, because these people don't. And the moment you start applying any kind of logic or sanity to their constant spewing of nonsense, you will realize that they will crumble and they will have no answer for you. And people will see and be inspired by your stance. Because look at Kirsha. Kirsha, in roughly a year and a half, has gone from, about 100 CCV to, in her latest streams, nearly 3,000 CCV. She has gone from having tiny interviews with random people to being on major podcasts and being noticed by people like Grums, people like Cabrutus on Twitter, and so forth. And she used to, well, she still is. One thing that Kirsha does a lot of is she's very sad that people such as Sargon of Akkad, who she used to watch an awful lot when she was very young and first on the internet, will not engage with her or interact with VTubers. He just dismisses the idea of VTubers having anything good to say out of his attitude instantly. And I point out that currently she gets more attention than Sargon of Akkad ever did. She gets more support, she gets more financial engagement, she gets more attention. Those washed up relics of GG 1.0 look at people like Kirsha, and they don't see people that they can communicate with. They don't see people that have anything worth saying. They see enemies because their minds are closed. Their attitudes are old and outdated. They have not stayed with the times. And they are being replaced very rapidly by a new generation of people like Kirsha, who are informed consumers, who do their own research, who understand how the industry works, and are constantly asking questions. And while that can be tiresome, while that can be difficult, it is a lot more fulfilling and a lot more enjoyable than you might think, because it puts you in contact with people that are passionate, with people that are engaged, with people that are sincere, that people that will stand by you. Because look at people like Rev Says Desu, who pulled out of Offkai in support of Kirsha. Look at people who have been supportive of her on Twitter, who have said they won't attend Offkai, that they will make this a financial impact to the company. And we see this also with people like Selene, too, and Dokibird, although that wasn't political. Even Mint and Matara Khan, they left they left Niji Sanji. And in some way or another, all of them have said the same thing, that I was terrified, that they were all terrified of leaving Niji Sanji and going back to being, at most, a low 3 view. At worst, a 2 view, an irrelevant 2 view. Instead, all of these people are now have bigger platforms than when they were in Niji Sanji. Because there is, as somebody in chat said earlier, there are millions upon millions of dispirited, desperate people in the world right now that are looking for some inspiration in their lives to direct their energy, to direct their attention, to tell them, these things matter and I will stand my ground. I am a principled person who will not abandon you, who will not stand aside and let the other side win. If you follow me, I can't promise success, but I can promise action. And every single person who says, dude, you're never gonna do anything, just let me grill, just sit around, let me play my games, I'll just get a new fan base and hobby if the leftists show up here. Those people are doomers. Those people are black-pilled, and you shouldn't take the black pill. You should always be optimistic, and I'm optimistic. I used to be a much more of a doomer than I am now. Until I met people like Kirsha. When I saw their energy, when I saw their passion, and I'm like, yeah, I'm willing to put myself and my principles on the line for somebody who I trust like this. Sargon, the boomers and millennials are horrible and ruined everything. As Gen X, I have absolutely no culpability, even though I've been alive for longer than the millennials and shaped their opinions. So you're saying, Sargon, I wouldn't even rape her, as he is wont to say? Sargon is just pandering to his pseudo-intellectual fans who would look down on VTubers. Precisely. I mean, Sargon is a boomer, essentially. Just wait until Kirsha is interviewed on Lotus Eaters. That's never going to happen, ever. Did you hear the Bonbon news? I have not heard the Bonbon news, John Doe. Can somebody ping me about that or something? Bionicle mentioned, but for the worst reasons, shame. I wouldn't say they are blackpilled, they are just cowards. That's also, I wouldn't go so far as to say cowards, because, again, I know a lot of these people have been through shit. They have very, very long histories of seeing things they cherish taken away from them, they did stand up and they didn't manage to defend what they cared about. And so now their attitudes are, why should I care? And if you've tried, I will say, I don't like black pills, but if you have legitimately tried to defend something and you've failed and you're dispirited and you're tired out, then I'm going to say, I don't blame you. I understand. And I sympathize with you. Because that's terrible. That's one of the worst things you can experience. I wouldn't wish that feeling on anyone. All I ask, the only thing that I would ask of those people, is that even if you think we're not going to accomplish anything, please, just don't be a doomer. Don't say to people, your voice doesn't matter and you will never accomplish anything. Please don't say that. You're more than welcome. If we go through the same arc as you did, you are more than welcome. It is your complete and perfect right to say, I told you so. But please, don't sabotage us while we are trying to do things. Please. Sorry, just let me reply today. Sorry, I just had to reply to something on Discord that was quite important. Men like Sargon and Matt Walsh don't understand forms of media like VTubers and video games aren't fads, but new forms of entertainment and storytelling. They are just as valid as books or cinema. Boron is leaving Niji ID. Sir Carol is barely Gen X. He was born in 79. Oh, I thought you were talking about Senna Bonbon for a minute, and I was like, wait, what the hell? Senna Bonbon is graduating? No, I'm very happy that's not the case. I'm very glad it's just some random Niji person. Gilbage Troy, the world is a good place and worth fighting for. I'm still trying to convince myself of the first point. Jet Cowboy Bebop. I need to watch Cowboy Bebop again. That's a great show. And again, that's why I say that to people, this is one thing that I will say. Don't fight for modern art. Don't be an idiot and fight for, say, AAA games. Fight for the corruption of old forms of entertainment that are still good, but the leftists have looked at and gone, I want to destroy this because it doesn't conform to my views. Like, pick your battles. I'd rather watch VTubers than any newer movie. Yes. Yes. And that's why VTubers are currently hated. All-time great show and soundtrack. Yep. I quite agree. I haven't watched all of Cowboy Bebop, but I watched quite a lot of it. And it is extremely good. Oh, dear. Anyway, let's move on to another tab, because this is Krampus. Have I got the thing up on the screen? Yes, I do. This is Krampus, and he is going to feature quite heavily in the next couple of screenshots, as you can see. And this is one of his responses to a video talking about Kirsche getting blacklisted. Good. Kirsche is 100% a political commentator, and her content barely qualifies as VTubing. Given that she mentioned Pippa and is trying to draw her into this, and thus phase itself, I can clearly see this as a hardcore grifting attempt to stir up controversy and get more eyes on her by name-dropping. The fact this goes directly against the interests of FaZe and Pippa by proxy doesn't seem to bother her. Simply put, she is a grifter, and this whole situation is her effectively betraying Pippa for short-term gain. My position is simple. VTubing should and must be neutral ground, and in Kirsa's case, this is impossible since she is exclusively and only a political commentator. This is her trying to infect VTubing with the poison of American politics and similar nonsense and profit off of it. To protect VTubing from degenerating like Western entertainment did, it must be protected from politics of all stripes. So, this is a win for VTubing. In equal measure, VTubers from the other side of the spectrum are to be shunned as well. VTubing must be apolitical to be good. And as you can see, Krampus is a very hinged individual who says very intelligent things. He literally copied... he pretty much copied that. It's disappointing that some phase regulars went out of their way to attack Kirsche. Proctor, do you want me to pull up Krampus's borderline pedophilic comments in Pippa's chat? Yes, please, Thrang. Yes, please. Kirsche doesn't have a contract with FaZe. She has no legal obligation to FaZe Connect. Yeah, but don't you know, Guildmate Troy, don't you know that Kirsche is a hardcore grifter? Like, Kirsche was absolutely nothing until she contacted with Pippa. You see, the Kirsche is a hardcore grifter and has stolen Pippa's audience. She's stolen Pippa's audience. Kirsche, that evil, wicked white fox, she came in. That poor innocent bunny, poor innocent Pippa. Kirsche groomed Pippa. Don't you know that? Don't you know that Pippa was such a wonderful say-so VTuber until Kirsche's evil influence came in, and then all those people, it was terrible. I was there for the Exodus. I was there for the great Exodus. I was there. I stood there and I watched as Kirsche stole Pippa's audience. She took them away. I saw the CCV dropping on Pippa's stream, and I saw it go up in Kirsche's stream. I saw that happening in real time, and the nightmares. You don't understand the nightmares. You don't understand the nightmares that I see at that act of betrayal. And ever since then, I haven't been able to watch Kirsche. I haven't been able to look at this. I haven't been able to look at my Oshi. I haven't been able to look at Pippa and not see. I can still see the scars on that poor pink rabbit. I can see where Kirsche ripped her ears off. I can see where Kirsche ripped her ears off live on screen and then stole her audience. Where did the white fox touch you, Pippa? Proctor, is this melodrama why you consider yourself a writer? I'm sorry. True, I can't explain it, but Pippa is a crew of mine. That PNG fits you more every day. The Kirsche milkshakes brought Pippa to the lawn. Please cut the live ERP shots. I think he would be happy if Kirsche took that audience. He has a warped view of how Pippa should be. He seethes constantly about Pippa not living up to her potential. Pippa has thousands of CCV. Proctor got too passionate about it again. You don't understand how much I hold myself back. You really don't understand how much I hold myself back on these streams. You think this is melodramatic? Like, I have a PNG right now. At some point, at some bizarre point in the future, I am actually going to get myself a real model. And when that model happens, I'm going to need to specifically ask whatever rigger that I set up with, you need to make my model very, very expressive, because when I stream, I am like a flea. I am an autistic flea. I am moving around so much all the time. Right now, I'm swinging my legs apart and then back again, and I'm gesticulating with my arms. He's even more flamboyant in private. You have no idea. When I get passionate about topics, I cannot sit still in a chair. I cannot sit down in a chair. The presence of the microphone is the only thing that is keeping me in this chair right now. I would be standing up and I would be pacing back and forth. If I ever get like a lapel mic, which I can just wear on my shirt or something, and I can walk around the room while I am streaming. Totally worth the $2,000+, mate. It's like $6,000 or even more to properly get a decent rig these days. Have a Krampus degeneracy. Let's have a look. Are you... What the feck? Oh, I see. Why on earth have I got a redirect from YouTube? Go to site. Oh dear. As long as AI Anon continues making AI Pippas with lovely feet and hairy nether regions and pits, I'm happy. I am a simple man. His sneaker game is on point too. He always gives her good shoes. Mr. Yura, administer it to me the way I like my coffee, anally. Careful, Proctor, moving and talking a lot is a dog whistle, Lamau. My rigging was around 700 and pretty good. Yeah. Oh, I agree. But like for top tier, well, not for top tier, but even for decent, for high quality rigging, you're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars. British femboy Fillion arc incoming. I would love to be able to have a model like Fillion's where she's so active. That would really add a lot to my performance because I love being able to move around a lot. I give presentations and things in real life. I have considerable amounts of formal training as a speaker and a lecturer in context that I will not reveal because it would kind of be PL doxing style information about me, which I don't want to give just yet in my life. Foot friend, huh? One of Thrussy's people, then. Thrang, do you claim ownership of this man? Can you do a flip like Fillion? No, I think I'm considerably larger, taller, and heavier because I'm a man than Fillion, so the acrobatic part is not going to be as direct. It's literally just the default Catgirl model in VR chat. She's probably modified a bit by now, but it's literally that. I'm not sure I will keep coming to stream after the first time prostrate flash. But yes, Drang, if you have anything more about the lovely Krampus. Cool story. When are you going to make your NSFW tag? This is a joke. Don't do it, please. Here, Proc, this post. Okay. He doesn't think Pippa got her audience the correct way. He goes on about her being soulless with her love of flesh streamers, which is weird, seeing as she has always loved streamers like Asmongold. For Sakana, a good model artist costs 7k, and good rigging is a baseline 1.5k. Oof. Damn, 7,000 for a good artist. I would have thought the rigging would take far longer and be far more expensive than the art. That's very strange to me. Why does he keep telling me leave? No, go to site. Pippa is irresistible, confirmed. What is this? Context was her talking about groomers hitting on her when she was underage. Oh my. And this is somebody that is still in... Is this guy in the Face Connect Discord? Are you joking? If I was to be a VTuber, it would exclusively be Dragon Quest and SMW and Classic FF, and inspired by Fauna's Minecraft April Fool stream with unregistered hypercam and 480p. Ow! Ow, my ear. Sorry, where that bird kicked me and made me bleed in my ear yesterday. Ow, that just twinged really badly. Why the hell is my live chat not updating, but my on-screen chat is? That's very irritating. Come on. There we go. There we go. I reset it. I think the model/artist thing being so expensive is because commercial rights and all that shit. That makes sense. Okay. You're probably paying a lot for the artist name. Riggers outside of Iron Vertex or Brian Swee don't have as much of a name cachet. Proctor, click this. I am going to trust you. Why does he keep saying go to site? Is he using the fact a literal pedophile tried to hit on someone as justification for his own thirst bursting? Krampus. Why are you so groomable, Pippa? Yeah, it is just slander without actual evidence. It's always the same. It's always the same, chat. It's always the same. These people are always self-report. I wonder when he's going to start talking about the age of consent. Put it that way. Let me just scroll up a little bit because I missed a few comments, or rather I can't because freaking live chat on YouTube is bugging out at the moment. Please give me a second. Let me see if I can fix this stupid thing. Oh, there it is. I actually fixed it. Wonderful. I popped out chat and that fixed it. Gilbench Troy, it's still fairly inexpensive for entertainment. Also keep in mind that for art, IP is involved, so buying art for business is considerably more expensive. From what I've seen of rigging streams, it's just tedious, not difficult. Where was that comment that I saw about collabs? It's up here somewhere. Where on earth is it? Yeah, Ryan again. Kirsche steals more of Pippa's audience with less than 15 collabs than all of the rest of her actual co-workers. FaZe needs to step up their leech game. I'm pretty sure Krampus has talked about the age of consent before, but I've had enough dumpster diving. Oh, No, is literally the name. Krampus already writes essays like Henry did. He has also talked about the age of consent. I remember a screenshot of it in the Pippa thread. If people find that screenshot, please post it on the Discord or just yell at me in chat, and I will look at it. When goes full, all of my problems are because of the CCP, then he can begin to walk the path of Henry. Oh, dear. Let me just close all these because we got far more than this. Because Ducky weighed in on all of this. And Ducky, for those who don't know, Ducky used to be a VTuber journalist. And you see up here where it says VTuber writer? This used to read VTuber journalist. And he changed it because he got his journalism on VTubing so outrageously and ludicrously wrong that not a single person was on his side. And so his way of addressing this, his way of addressing getting literally everything wrong about the journalism stories for VTubing that he covered, was to not change his content, not to apologize and commit on improving. He also works for Dexerto too, which tells you all that you need to know. No, his reaction to all the negative feedback on his literal outright lies was to rebrand himself as a VTuber writer. Because as a writer, he's not doing journalism any longer. He's telling VTuber stories. So it doesn't matter if he is literally lying about what he is talking about. It's just a story. He's a writer. There's no problem anymore. That's fine, isn't it, chat? That's okay. No, there's no problems here at all. As a writer, he can write fan fiction. But as he says here, reminder, conventions aren't obligated to give you the spotlight. Much like you're allowed to say whatever you want, you can also choose to not platform that for whatever reason. It's a privilege, not a right. After all that's happened this year, I'm pretty convinced VTubing doesn't deserve Offkai. Everyone is acting like petulant children to try and sway decisions. Offkai isn't perfect, but the community is acting absolutely feral. If you don't like it, go to another convention. Well, using the National Enquirer defense, I bet he uses based on a real story. He should rebrand to read VTuber Facts. It's historical fiction that happens in the modern day with very real fake people in skin suits. This guy quacking. Yep, he quacks like a duck. He quacks like a duck and makes about as much sense. Yeah, sure, they are. He is probably technically right, but so can we complain and think it was a bad idea? Yes, exactly. He literally did the Stone Toss comic we pulled up earlier. Literally. Unironically, that's why Stone Toss is such a good comic artist, because he takes this information and he makes it's such a perfect parody of everything. Give me just 1 second. I need to itch my ear because it is actually hurting quite a bit right now. Ow! Oh. Offkai kicking out Nijisanji. I am disappointed in Offkai and people pushing for this. Offkai kicking out Kirsha. This is fully okay, and people upset are wrong. Aren't ducks more useful, though? Ducks are at least palatable. Duck is one of my favorite meats. Like, I really, really love the taste of duck. It's a lovely fatty meat, too. I do love fatty meat. I love fatty, oily meat. Just like, I also like lamb a lot, too. Lamb and duck and a bit of beef is really, really nice. You better disinfect that. Ear infections suck ass. You know, that's actually a good point. I probably will. You won't like the taste of ducky in your mouth. Yes, if we were ever in a plane crash together, he would be the last person I use for emergency rations. That duck's gone bad. Duck's gone bad. And this is just the second one. I don't know why I have 2 tabs of that open. And of course we have this person who is entirely sane and reasonable. Nature is healing now! Offkai just had to blacklist one weirdo, and they all decide they won't go. They really killed several birds with one stone. Crying emoji face, crying emoji face, crying emoji face. And he also references some of the supporters that Kirshi has had, such as Straub, who is Rev's wife, and also Rev says Desu. And these are 2 people that Kirsha was very, very worried about ignoring her. And it's not that Kirsha doesn't think that she has friends. It's that Kirsha has had an awful lot of terrible things happen in her life. And I have such immense sympathy for her over that. And she has a very hard time believing that anybody could actually value her and would ever be willing to stand beside her in anything. That's why she's so surprised when people give her so much money and support. That's why I want to make it clear that if you're a Kirsha fan, never let her forget how much she is loved and how much she is valued and how much she means to her community. Because it's very hard for her brainworms to calm down and be able to understand that. No, Luna, Lumi, I do not want Ducky's meat in my mouth. Stop spreading lies. But yeah, both Straub and Rev stood up very profoundly in all of this and said we are not going to go to Offkai and we are never going to go to Offkai in any way again until the situation is handled properly. Kirsha was very worried about all of this being of negligible value. But evidently it wasn't the case. And of course we have this insane person, Antonius Drosera. I find it hard to feel bad for all of these people after what their community did to me. I still get doxxed and called slurs by their community regularly because of one opinion they disagreed with. It's exhausting that they play the victim when they dug their own graves, which is a quote tweet to the one I just read. And the thing about Antonius Drosera, look at this. Let's look at this follower count right here. 641 followers. Let's have a look at his Twitch. 238 followers. Shut up, you absolute square of meat. Griff, that is, well, I'm not one to talk about people's voices. This person, their only claim to fame, as far as I can tell, on the entire internet, is claiming that Kirsha doxed them and that Kirsha's community harasses them. Jackie, once I saw a clip of Kirsha saying she's terrified of people from like 2 years ago, I understood everything then. She's a strong girl. Yes, Kirsha is not a inherently strong person, and that's why I love Kirsha so much, because she has so many reasons to just shut up and let life roll over her, but she doesn't. She has full justification for saying that all of this stuff that she deals with online is too much for her. Because if she said tomorrow, I can't handle this any longer, she has absolutely no problem with saying that. Like, Kirsha can bow out. She's done so much and has been so strong when she didn't need to be. When she literally throws up in public out of anxiety and she's on very strong anti-anxiety medications, and she's dealing with the aftermath of being gaslit by wicked, horrible boyfriends and all of this stuff. No, she chooses to stand up and defend people who hate her. She stands up for the rights and freedoms and privileges of people who hate her and go on VT and call her a grifter and call her a liar and say that she doxes people. She stands up for their right to say that. I don't think there is anything more noble in life than doing that, than standing by your principles, even though the people whose principles you are defending don't want you to defend them. That is true loyalty to your principles. He got called an idiot for saying that being anti-white is not racism. Rev called him out in a video. He got butthurt and called Rev a PDF, which then caused Rev's community to go after him. Many such cases. He had terrible OPSEC, which led to him getting doxxed. Not that anyone cares who he is. Yep. These people are crybullies. They will attack you, and they will call you the worst things in the history of humanity. And then when you look at them and say, oh, hey, you do realize your public Facebook page is linked on your profile. They go, oh no, I've just been doxxed. Evil, horrible doxers are ruining my life. Ree! You don't get that right. It's on the internet. It's there forever. Congratulations. The Simpsons meme has come true. I love Kirsche because she is... Lumi, stop spreading slander. Desist. My relationship with your podcast is now officially in jeopardy. Why can't I spell jeopardy? Real voice? This is my real voice. What are you talking about? This is my normal everyday voice. It's just that I quite like to put on different voices. Jeopardy. It's not even that hard to hide that information unless you've been around since early internet, then may God save you, Lamau. Yeah. Again, I really don't care if one day that my address becomes public online. I wouldn't want it to be, but again, you only get doxxed if you've been an asshole to the wrong people. And also, if you're doxxed and you're genuinely worried about people doing something about it, guess what? That means you've been deliberately antagonizing people on the internet you shouldn't have. If you get doxxed and nothing happens to you, then guess what? It's like if a bear shits in the woods and nobody views it, did it happen? There are VTubers out there who have their doxes, their full, complete doxes, on places like VT and Doxbin, etc., and have had for years. And nobody knows about them. Nobody looks at them. Your YT OBS is frozen? Let me out. It doesn't look frozen on my screen. We tried refreshing the screen. Give me 1 second. It looks fine on my screen. Let me just go back to just chatting for a second. Just chatting. Like, does it work now? Looks fine on my end. Can everybody see the just chatting screen with the fireplace and the animated GIF now? Since Nigel said that. Okay, so that seems to have fixed it. I'm sorry about that. It's the same as getting posted on Kiwi. You only get posted there if you do something horrible or amazingly stupid. Everything looks fine to me. Okay, good. So I just kind of panicked about that for a second. My apologies. Let me just go back to what I was doing before. There we go. Man, I love foxes. I love foxes too, except when they try and kill my guinea fowl, in which case I will kill them. Yeah, and Danny D, the thing is that on Kiwi farms, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of threads on lolcows. 95% of those threads are dead. Only the top 5% of lolcows get any kind of traction. You can get full doxed on Kiwi farms. Somebody can post your name, your face, your address, your phone number, everything. And guess what? In the vast majority of cases, not a single person will call you. Not a single person will contact anyone you know. I've had this happen to me myself. I haven't been doxed, but there have been people, like when about 8 or 9 months ago, there was a bunch of idiots on image boards, and they got together and they said, oh, we hate TVA for some reason or other. And we know that TVA is on a cloud hosting platform. So what we're going to do, like, we are going to send emails to the hosters of TVA and get them to take TVA down. And the thing is, the way that system works is that I get a copy of every email that gets sent to like Zenforo or whatever. And guess what? Not a single person sent an email after they'd been on VT, after they'd pissed around for hours and hours, after they'd psyched themselves up, after they said, yeah, we're going to take down that evil TVA. Not a single person actually followed through and sent an email to Cloudflare, to not Cloudflare, but cloud hosting to get TVA taken down. Not one. So it's the Pareto principle of idiocy. Yeah, I've noticed the thing about that Danny said, like one of Mel Nico Mata's sock puppets was complaining about someone making a thread on Kiwi Farms about her. Who cares? Who cares? The very easy principle is don't be an asshole online and people won't be an asshole to you. Treat others as you yourself wish to be treated. If you observe that very simple rule, then 99.9% of people will not go out of their way to be unpleasant to you, even if they know there are ways that they can do so. There's a very simple principle that I really wish a great deal of VTubers and even streamers in general, and people outside the internet even, would obey and understand, because it seems to be really difficult for them to grasp. Like, when a post has thousands of views but like 2 comments, nobody really gets around to hurting you unless you did some shit. Even the zoo sadists on Kiwi Farms have not really been gone after. Is there a thread from Mickey Nico on Kiwi Farms yet? She seems like basically a lolcow from everything I've seen. I think that TVA are the only people, because she's foreign, because she's Japanese. It's a center of attention thing by way of narcissism, I think. Oh yes, there's another guy that I want to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about him till Wednesday, because I don't really have the time tonight. Boss man, we're being mean to you in Discord. I know you are, because you're all monsters, and I hate all of you. I hate my entire community. It's terrible. Bossman talks with a slur. Just imagine if he only spoke in slurs. You already... Why are you people like this? Why are you people like this? I'm so glad Bossman only works with one monitor. I don't have the space for 2 monitors. Well, maybe I would have the space for 2 monitors if I mounted one above the other. Just FHD with a garbage response rate is but good enough for a second monitor. I might do it at some point. Sundar Proctor hates us. Ooh. He hates me more specifically. Ooh. I barely hate anyone. Like Fern. That guy Fern got banned from the Discord a few weeks ago, and people hated Fern. People really, really hated Fern. I didn't really care about Fern at all. I got annoyed that people were incapable of like just blocking Fern and ignoring him. So I just said democracy votes. If 10 people say that I should ban this guy, I will. Otherwise, I don't care about him in the slightest. I have a remarkably high tolerance for stupid bullshit, as George Carlin would say. Well, the reverse of what George Carlin said. Oh crap, speaking of Leah is on in 7 minutes, only Leah. Yeah, I understand. That's perfectly fine. I'm astonished that I have 84 CCV on a Monday, honestly. Usually Wednesday is the day that I have decent CCV, but I'm very grateful for everybody for coming and hanging out with me on all of this. He was too emotional. I know a Spurg too, but I learn that guy didn't. Yeah, I'm willing to tolerate an awful lot of stupid bullshit if people are willing to change. It's why... Like, for example, like Charlotte Van Helen. I still speak to her fairly often, and I quite like Charlotte Van Helen, because when she's not being a Menhera, she is a very interesting person to talk to, because she's quite intelligent, and she's quite of a free and creative thinker. And she gets very pissed off at the number of stupid people in her life, which I respect. But she is a little bit Menhera. But the thing is, she works on it. She tries. She touches grass. She goes out and she lives a life and she says, damn, I now understand what Tyler, the creator, was talking about when he said cyberbullying, just turn your eyes away, don't look at the screen. And I'm like, congratulations. And I genuinely am extremely happy for you. And I really hope you continue this because, damn girl, you are a brilliant artist. Like, Charlotte Van Helen is a fantastic artist. And I'll tell you what is good about Charlotte is that she has an amazing work ethic. When she says she will do something for you, when she says she will draw something for you, she will actually do it. Do you have any idea how many artists are just completely irredeemably pathetic when it comes to actually doing their commissions and stuff? She is an amazing artist. She is. And she's actually getting exhibitions in real life too. And like, great. That is fantastic. I think that if Charlotte can control that part of her brain that wants to respond to stuff on the internet, I think she already is to quite an extent. She is going to go places. She is going to be an incredible artist. And I wish her all the best. I really do. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy that she's getting better for her. The internet isn't life, but for too many of our generation, it unfortunately is. It's like I said, like, she's one of the people. She is one of the people that has said to me, I can't believe how nobody in my life, I can't talk to any of my friends, I can't get advice from people because they're all like Zoomers and they have no experience with life. And all my artist friends are crazy. Like, she'll say that outright, without any hesitation. And I agree with her, because most artists are crazy. You think you hate artists enough, but you really don't. If you find a good artist who is consistent, who is able to do things to a deadline, you should shill that artist to high heaven, because they are gold dust. They are gold dust. I'm not joking. They are absolute gold dust. Tell everybody you know about that artist. Tell them you should commission this artist, because they will actually draw stuff for you. Most artists never learn to harness discipline to make art and go entirely off inspiration. Say what you want about him. L. Ron Hubbard wrote like a machine. Yeah, I am a writer. I enjoy writing a great deal, but I'm also bad at consistently writing. I don't have that ability to harness discipline. And when I'm inspired, I can write like 6 pages in a night. If I'm not inspired, I can write 6 pages in a year. It's that bad. A good artist is like a man who can wield fine aluminium. You protect that national treasure. I'm not sure what weld fine ammunition. I thought it said wield fine fine aluminium. God damn it. Combine artist with NSFW furry art and holy shit, talk about off the deep end. Yeah. There's only one artist who got anywhere in life and sadly committed suicide. Oh, my Linus Rex. That is, I find that it is, dear me. I should ask Charlotte for permission to retell some of the stories that she's told me about artists, because, good grief, they are absolutely side-splitting and ridiculous. If that woman ever gets a boyfriend, she is going to be able to dine out on so many stories with him, it's hilarious. Not that I know, but I just say, just spring for it. Now everybody is talking about getting me a second monitor. Look, if you want a second monitor, you know, my donations are open. Like, Stream Elements is right there. You can donate for a second monitor, and I will go and buy one. Put your money where your mouth is, guys. Let's look back at this again. I think we're pretty much done with... am I done with the seething V-tweeters? I think I am. So, yeah, I can delete that tab, actually. I can delete this stuff. And the next thing is, oh yeah, this is another one as well, just Zach Plum. I think that Zach Plum has some history with other things related to Kirsche, but I'm not sure. So I won't talk about him directly. I do remember him being brought up somewhere, but I can't remember the context. So if somebody in chat knows who Zach Plum is and can explain him a little bit more or give me sources. Again, I was looking at this stuff 20 minutes before starting stream because so much stuff has happened in the last few days. And I was talking earlier about the reactions on TVA, even people on TVA calling Kirsche a grifter, and Merely Tourist has the title LM's Ladyboy for a reason, because he pisses an awful lot of people off, and he does some very L takes very often. Merely Tourist has said some dumb shit on TVA, really, really dumb shit on TVA. However, occasionally, he actually is pretty insightful, and here is one of these examples. To Hot Dogs Up Bunny saying, Kirsche is a grifter and shouldn't be surprised. People care too much about this. If you're upset, don't go. Again, if you're upset, don't go. You know, just be black-pilled and never do anything in life. And Merlin Tourist here says, I'd say real problem is not even Kier or her content, Problem is how and where they put the line. If they set clear cutoff points for political-ish creators from the beginning, then no one would question it. Your sandbox, your rules, unless your market cut is way too big. But as of now, the director elaborately explained that there are no rules, and everyone is welcome, but only until some random anonymous people get offended, then all your plans and promises go to shit. And this is a good take. This is a sensible take, and I'm annoyed that it's merely tourists saying it. Zach Plum, no clue, but he sounds like a fruit. My entire experience with him is bait posting in PCD. I know. I don't look at the Pippa thread. It's a terrifying and horrifying more. Oh dear. Is there anything else? Yeah, and also, Yu-Gi-Oh! Link Monster made a very good point. If Kirsha was banned because she was an edgy culture war retard, why Rev Says Desu wasn't also banned? Which raises some very interesting questions. And when I read this, because thank you very much, Yu-Gi-Oh! Link Monster, whoever you are, you're probably not watching the stream. Because he made a very, very good point that got me thinking. It really got me thinking. Zach he's a Leah Licker. I see. He's one of that sort. Lovely, lovely water. I think I'm getting a good stream voice going because I haven't had to drink anywhere near as much water as I have in the last while when I've been streaming. No proc, not PCG, the PC official Discord. He does drive-by criticism of Pippa. Ah, I see. Thank you for explaining that. I am terrible with acronyms. I'm as bad as acronyms as my Kamiyoshi is. Nothing more has been posted there. Yep, you're fine. Rev is a masculine man. Masculine men are hard to bully. The volunteer staff probably didn't know he was coming at that point. You'd think that could be an explanation, I will agree. However, this actually got me thinking. Allow me to just look up some things. Give me 1 second. Offkai Gen 3, Offkai Expo Home, guests. Because I started looking through the Offkai guest list. And I found some interesting things. One particular interesting thing. Allow me to... Where is it? This is very annoying. Where is it? Come on. Zox. Offkai Twitter. Here we are. So it is this particular VTuber that I would like to highlight. Gamers and lewd-tuber fans at LXOX34 has been invited to her first ever convention at Offkai Gen 3, hosting a huge lewd-tuber panel. Curious to take a peek? Come see what she has in store for you from May 31st to June 2nd in Burlingame, CA. Burlingame, that is a very state. So yeah, this woman is a lewd tuber, and she is a very lewd tuber. An extremely lewd tuber. And I don't have a problem with... Well, I don't like lewd tubing. But Offkai is perfectly welcome to celebrate people like this if they want to, because, you know, they're degenerates and everything. Actually, allow me to look just up because I sent some information to Rima Evenstar that I will now look up as well. Where the heck is the... Here it is. Because I asked on the Discord. Somebody mentioned to me that this person had a history. And so I asked on the Discord, can you tell me more about this individual? And somebody replied to me, yes, her PL was a major player in anti-lolicon stuff. 100% someone has the goods ready to go over on her, to be honest, so I won't bother posting half-assed research for reference. And then he provided a link to Varus Hangout, which is Lolly Drama, which has a thread called Lolly Drama, Kyoto's Drama Archive. And I am actually not going to platform Varus Hangout because Varus Hangout is terrible. Rayma, I always pronounce it Rima. I'm sorry. Rima. Okay, I'll go with Rima Evenstar. Because she had comments. I like Rima Evenstar quite a bit because she contacted me about the Kirsche stuff as well, and I was able to provide her, with Kirsche's permission, some of the screenshots as well. So, and she was very angry at Kirsche's treatment too, which I respect. I quite like Rima. She seems to be a very good person overall. But yeah, this woman here, Elzox, is one of the most hardcore anti-lolicon VTubers I have ever seen in my life. And I'm not going to platform Varus Hangout because Varus Hangout are a bunch of liars and assholes, but they did have some pretty compelling evidence that a lot of Elzox's past life has been hardcore anti-lolicon, to the point of, like, if it's under 6 heads, it's automatically CP levels of anti-lolicon content. Now, why am I bringing this up? Why am I bringing this up? Well, there's some more information, too. Maybe you're able to guess it, but we also have this. Hello, everyone. Thanks to Oshi Live, I will be attending Offkai Gen 3 via a robot escort on the 2nd of June. Please don't be shy and come say hello if you'd like. Now, this is Kiki Pion Pion. Do you notice anything about her design? If you don't already know who she is. It's not the fact that she is a lolly. No. Look at the hair ornaments. Does this remind you of anything? She's a 4chan VTuber. She is literally the 4chan VTuber who browses VT on stream and who has said some rather spicy things. She's fine. Now, I just want to make it clear. I don't think that Kiki Pion Pion should be banned from Offkai. Let me just make that completely clear. Explicitly a 4chan VTuber, no plausible deniability, yes. And as the comment on this screenshot says, blacklisting Kirsche is one thing, but having this honeypot anything nearby tells a lot. Not that I am surprised, but damn. Yeah, Kiki's great, I watch her. Again, I have never watched Kiki's content, and I'm not saying Kiki bad. That is not my point. What I am saying is that Kirsche was banned because one member, or maybe 1 or 2 members of the Offkai staff, thought that she was problematic based on a couple of tweets. And yet, now, another point is, if you look at the Offkai staff listings, they have quite a few VTubers on their staff listings. VTubers are a big part of Offkai's behind-the-scenes workings. And yet, mysteriously, Kiki is going to Offkai, and someone who I know for a fact, where have I lost the tabs? I've lost the tab. There it is a very hardcore anti-lolicon who has said, who by her own standards, Kiki is CP, is fine with that. No comments, no complaints, no arguments whatsoever. People like this, not Kiki, don't have standards or morals, just interest. Yeah, you're getting at what I'm talking about. You're getting to what I'm talking about. Well, only Kirsche talks about DEI and Bridge, so that's the biggest tell. Yes, you're noticing, chat. You're noticing. And again, on the subject of lolicon stuff, now again, I don't like lolicon, but again, I literally have like a Konuko Kotoko in my Discord, and I quite like her because she's a pretty unfiltered person, and she's quite fun to be around. But where is... Please give me a second to actually figure out where I'm going. That's just the DMs that we're not talking about yet. That is Mel Brooks's Hitler. That's the I Want to Grill. Where the hell did I put that stream? Here it is. Here it is. I need to go to the bathroom for a moment or two, but I find it very interesting that Koinuko from my Discord, her design, she is also a completely unashamed lolicon. Like, she is a very tiny woman, and she is also a lolicon. Outright, outspoken, no complaint. She's been banned multiple times on Twitter for retweeting lolicon. And look just behind her and her merch. This is the merchandise that she's going to be showing off at Offkai. I survived the Koinu meet and greet. So she's going to be doing a meet and greet at Offkai. And she's a lolicon. So that's 2 lolicons. And then they have a panelist who is also a hardcore anti-lolicon. I wouldn't even call them hypocrites. Hypocrites have standards that they just don't hold themselves to. These people just use the idea of standards as a cudgel. But I'm going to let her talk a little bit about Offkai while I just go to the bathroom. So I will be 2 seconds, people. I'll just make sure the audio is on. Yes, it is.
It was actually really funny because then they put out the guest list, and one of the guests is a lolly who literally makes Hitler jokes. So I was like, okay, there's no way in actual fuck they denied me because I was a lolly. Like, there's got to be some other like reason. And as of recently, if you guys have not seen what's happening, Kirshi, how the fuck do you pronounce her name? The fox lady, the white lady who talks about politics and stuff like that. She recently was like talking about being blacklisted from Offkai, and I was like, oh, Kirsha. Okay, my bad. But yeah, so she was recently talking about being like blacklisted from Offkai and stuff, and at one point I didn't really care. I mean, it's Offkai, whatever. But then I actually started like paying attention to what like the people were saying, and all of like the jokes and stuff about like, oh my god, Offkai is an inside job. It's real. Offkai is an inside job, and they literally admitted it themselves. Now, I'm not gonna pull up any screenshots because it's not my business. You know, her getting blacklisted isn't really my like is it my what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I shouldn't involve myself in this because it definitely doesn't involve me. However, if you want to go watch the VOD, you're free to do so. If you want to go look on Twitter, I'm like 99% positive people have been posting about it on Twitter. But if you look at the messages that the like staff is sending, they literally say and quote like, "Oh, we accepted people that our staff wanted," or like, "We didn't accept you because our staff doesn't like you. We want to make sure our staff is comfortable." Basically, Offkai was a full-blown inside job. Like, I figured from the jump that they didn't care about like the fans. You know, I thought that it was only the volunteers. Like, if you could have the biggest fan base ever, but if like the volunteers didn't like you, then that is what it is. And I thought it was funny that they kind of used the excuse of, well, you know, we've got a really small volunteer base, and you know, we can't do that. Like, we have to bend the knee to what they want. And I'm like, dude, maybe you should try to hire some actual people. Like, that is probably one of the most unprofessional answers I have ever heard in my entire life. Like, the biggest thing that I like saw was like Holiday Matsuri. And not even Holiday Matsuri, like every single convention to ever exist ever. If you guys know Sean Chiplock, he does a lot of like anime voices. That dude has literally made like some really suspicious ass like lolly tweets. He said some racist stuff. He was bullying minors on the internet. Like, he did so much stuff. That guy still gets invited to conventions. So many people hate him, but he still gets invited to conventions. You guys know there's this one specific VTuber that I hate so much. I literally hate his guts. I hate him so hard, and I do not understand how he has a platform. And he still gets to guest at conventions. He still has friends. So for them to sit back and be like, hey, our staff doesn't like you, so we can't have you at the event, is insane. That is one of the most funniest things I think I've ever heard in my entire life, for them to say that to somebody's face. Like, I had really good ideas. Like, one of the things that I wanted to do that I didn't tell you guys about was I wanted to do an event on the community stage. If you don't know what the community stage is, at Offkai they basically have like this like where the VTubers are there and virtually, and then, you know, people can walk up and actually interact with the VTubers. And I wanted to do this this panel where you basically do like, are you smarter than a VTuber? And, you know, we would have questions and all this stuff, and, you know, do all this like really cool stuff. And then they were like, no, fuck you. Like, dude, I really had some really good ideas. Like, I was so excited to like make this all a really big thing and bring people together and do all this stuff, and they literally were like, no, no, like, I don't like you. So I was like, okay, you know, I'm not necessarily upset about it because I still get to do all my super cool stuff with all my other people. But just seeing and like finally realizing that this is why they decided against me is crazy. Do not let me find out who was on the volunteer team because I will personally beat their ass up. Like, you absolute fucking pussy. Suck it up and call it a goddamn day. Imagine like being so like disliking somebody so hard that you literally get them blacklisted from a convention because you just don't like them. Like,
Oh, hello, Quinuko. Nice to see you. I'm glad you could make it. WTF, Mom, I'm on TV. Yeah, I was just, I just went to the bathroom and I did my Hassan thing where I put up some content on stream so that my ADHD viewers would continue to. Inu should pull out her race card and abuse it. She's not black. She is Asian. She says this herself. She's not black. She's just a Gyaru. She can't pull the race card. She is not Kenji. Koinuko about to DMCA stolen content. Hey, I want my royalties. My royalties are the free viewers, okay? The free exposure. Dark enough. A famous VTuber Konuko Katoku. Oh yeah, I did pronounce it by like. We need a live chair cam to complete the React segment. What a dog doing? I'm suing Proctor. Oh no, this is how TVA ends. I get sued by a very small Gyaru lolly who just takes me to court and steals all my money. Yeah, so it beats alimony, I suppose. He really went for the paying you an exposure. I mean, she's literally on my Discord, so she can shill herself whenever she likes. But I mean, I will like put a link to her channel in the stream thing anyway. Give me one moment. I mean, no, that's not what I want to do. I don't. This is the one thing I dislike about Twitch. It is so awkward to maneuver around everything. So. Steals the site, starts turning every thread into lolly posting. Yeah, I'd believe that. She would do that. She can only pull the rice card. Oh dear. But yeah, Konuko, and she's free to contradict me if I say anything wrong in the chat because I don't want to say that she's said stuff that when she doesn't. But from everything that she has said, it seems to me as if Offkai is very, not just unprofessional, but also very committed to not being professional, because on Kirsha's Discord, some people did some dumpster diving on Offkai's, not financials, but like corporate details. And in California, they are completely entitled to take money that they're given and use it to pay staff. The only thing that their status as a non-profit doesn't allow them to do is make a profit. If they make a profit, they have to invest it back into the convention. And so Offkai could easily hire people to run its convention. Maybe it couldn't run them easily, but just think about that. Like, Offkai is in fact, is the only VTuber convention in America. And like there's Yomicon and so on, but those are anime. Those are anime conventions, not VTuber conventions. Offkai is the only player on the block. Offkai could very easily go out there and start a GoFundMe or something. As far as I'm aware, maybe as a non-profit they're not allowed to do that. I'm not sure, but I'm sure there's some way that they can arrange for people to donate to Offkai, that Offkai can then set aside as a fund for paying professional volunteers or whatever it is, so that people can actually have obligations. Stop rubbing yourself. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. I was just rubbing my arm on my trouser leg, and apparently it makes enough noise to be picked up on the microphone. I do apologize for that again. Didn't they have a volunteer a year or two ago who was there to find out VTubers' personal information and match voices to faces, or was that a different con? Yes, they did. Only big conventions can afford real staff, and that was the majority of. And The was majority is volunteer run, and Offkai is a small convention. Yes, they can absolutely do that. Proctor rubbing himself. Ew, you have no idea how much I stim. Offkai is using a registration convention service from a known furry hacker. It's in line with Offkai. What? Do you have a source for that? A known furry hacker? What? The fact Offkai is based in Commie, California is the red flag for me. The amount of BS that comes out of that state is gnarly. Yeah, the source is your website. Offkai Blacklist thread on TVA. Okay. Offkai thread last message. Okay. I'm guessing that was posted while I was streaming or just before I went live. Please give me a moment and I will look that up. That's page 6. Just a repost from some anon on PCG. Don't know if it's been posted here or something else. Haven't really looked into it much, but this is from the Offkai thread. Starry Bound. Wow, that's a great find, actually. Dev-hosted service with payment processing from serial grifter, cool hacks. Okay, this is very interesting. Allow me to just open a couple of things. So it seems Offkai runs through Concat, which is operated by supposedly some furry hacker guy. He was probably a kid when he did this, but man, it's kind of wild. Don't fully read, but likely scraped around through the Reddit page. There's an archive there. I will open that archive for a second. All right. The Starrybound mod has been pulled from our official database. Here's why. What's this then? A client? Oh no. Why are they like this? The Starrybound mod has been pulled from our official database. Here's why. TIY originally posted this explanation in Crash Doom's Starrybound AMA thread, but the thread has since been deleted, so I'm reposting it for easier access. I've decided we're going to be pulling this mod from the official repository and officially telling people to stay away from it. Here's why. Zydo Nuke became staff on a forum called F-List. I'm sorry, I just needed a moment of silence just there to let that sink in. If you don't know, F-List is basically just a sexting thing where you create a profile and it's technically a role-playing site. Do not look at F-List. No, I'm not an idiot guy. Look, I'm from the role-playing community. Do you think I didn't know what F-List was? It's the place where literally half of the people that I used to roleplay with went to roleplay with after they grew old enough and they realized they weren't going to get a girlfriend and they just wanted to have cyber sex online instead. That's where and I think I also like V from Archcast. He had on Kiwi Farms. He was found to have an F-List profile as well. Yeah, I know so many people that I used to enjoy proper role playing with that were just like, yeah, I'm old enough now. I don't have a girlfriend. I'm just gonna go on F-List and goon to furry pornography for the rest of my life. V, the Romanian carrier pigeon, was an F-List. Yeah, it always comes to the ERP. Proctus Saccharos. Did you get that tumor checked out? What tumor? What tumor? I mean the V tumor. Zydo Nuke, one of the major contributors to this mod, was involved in an unofficial release of the Minecraft tool Bucket, which gave him backdoor access to other people's servers, which he then used to ban admins from their own servers. Zydo Nuke became staff on a forum called F-List. He used his position to read users' private messages. Eventually, he adminned everyone on the site and cleared the ban list, eventually destroying the forums. What year was this? Oh, 10 years ago. Okay, so this was a very long time ago. Zydo Nuke hopped on to another little project called PWO. He was made a developer and deleted PWO's data and server-side coding due to being frustrated with criticism from the community. He deleted the game and its databases, released everyone's passwords / usernames, etc. Crash Doom was the developer of a Minecraft mod called MC Bans. At one point, a player named Doridian gained access rights he shouldn't have had that allowed him to ban players from their own servers. Doridian is Zydo Nuke's partner. Crash Doom plus Zydo distributed a client for Minecraft called Yifcraft that was essentially a hacked/griefing client for Minecraft. Crash Doom claims his account was hacked and the hacker used this account to distribute the client. However, that seems less and less likely with Zydonuke involved. Crash Doom is a frequent poster on hacking forums. There has been speculation that Crash Doom, Zydonuke, and Iridian are all the same person. Crash Doom and Zydonuke have logged into the Sarban forums with the same IP address. That's a very stupid thing for a hacker to do. Just use a VPN, dude. Crash Doom has been PMing Chucklefish. That's all like related stuff. This kind of drama rubbish is a waste of mine and everyone else's time. Yep, pretty much. Now that's Kainuko's thing. I'm seeing a pattern of behavior there. ERP again. ERP. No, I did not do ERP, but I know a vast number of people who transitioned from regular RP to actually doing ERP, and it kind of saddens me. I know there are some people that are still trapped in that gooning cycle, and it's really depressing. Yeah, so I'll go to the original post now. Let me just copy the address link. Post and go. Thank you, JM Forte, very much for this, by the way. This is a fantastic find. Yeah, GitHub Crash Doom, GitHub Convention Cat Core, Concat app. So it seems Offkai runs through Concat, which is operated by supposedly some furry hacker guy. So Convention Cat Corp. People... Crash Doom, Adam Walker, software engineer, pro. Wikipedia monitor bot. This is one of the Crash Doom at furry. Software developers are not engineers. That's a lot of furry. It all comes back to the suspiciously wealthy furry software developers, guys. I nearly had a game fall apart because 2 of the players were ERPing. Mom, that's not my ERP. I'm holding it for someone else. Must be some skid. Man doesn't even use dynamic IP filtering. Suffer not the furry to live. Dissoo. Why are they like this? Because, ask Alex about what the insurance premiums for gay men are over, straight men sometime. I was about to say, Proctor sounded like he was about to put his head through his keyboard. Why is it always furries? Holy mental damage, Batman. This has to be the most estranged furry I've ever seen. Are you talking just about what's on stream, Colgrave, or are you looking up other stuff? Like, if people have other stuff that they know about this guy, the furries do a lot for the world. They do an odd amount of for good and bad. I used to think Fursecution was a funny meme. The older I get, the more I support it. I can't even lie. Furries ruin everything. The only time I would ever agree with a leftist on anything is if we both agreed that furries deserve to be treated... Furries deserve to have animal rights, so we can treat them like the animals they want to be. And that includes industrial slaughterhouses. But yeah, this is Convention Cat Event Systems. This is absolutely terrifying. I'm not even joking. This is scary. This could be... I think this is worth actually talking about. I think I'm going to send this to people like Rima and maybe even Rev. I'm definitely going to send it to Kirsha. Because this is very worrying, honestly. If a known furry hacker is managing a major event system for Offkai, if he has access to VTubers' personal details, he could literally dox every single person at the event And according to that previous post that JM Forte said on the Starbound wiki, that he has done convention management software written by a guy who has a history of backdoors. Unhinged furry SW dev from Colorado, many such cases. Holy shit, guys, have we just randomly stumbled upon a genuine, real... Holy crap. Good grief. I'm going to send this to people like Kirsha now. Right now, in real time, because they need to see this. They need to see this. People who are on the Offkai stuff, they need to see this. Holy shit, guys. I really hope this is a false positive. If this is a false positive and this has nothing to do with anything, then fine. Look at this now. Important. Unhinged weirdo control freaks always worm their way to positions where they can abuse their access. Now that I think about it, Kirsha dodged a bullet. False positive HIV. Holy shit, Proctor, you are saying all a phase. I've seen both the good and bad side of... I stopped reading there. There is no good side to furries. Make sure you make them shout you out if you show them this. JM Forte is the one who found it. I'm not going to take his credit for her for doing it. Explain why she needs to look at it too, Proctor. You see a lot of ex-hackers turn to doing tech work. It doesn't really mean anything unless you can prove malicious intent. Yeah, the thing is, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think if somebody has... I mean, look at it. He's a furry, okay? He's already a degenerate, automatically. No questions asked. All furries are degenerates. He's done ERP. He made a client called YIF Client. That actually does sound like it could be bad if it was designed by a hacker with a history of backdoors. Yes, I would not trust this person. Just a repost from some... I don't see your IP. Nim, I don't see your IP. If you are a guest, and this is... Sorry, I'm just yelling at Kirsha's goblin. This is a public part of the website. Yes, Thrang has very kindly alerted people to this as well. Again, I really hope this is a nothing burger. I genuinely hope this is a nothing burger. If he is a hardcore prog, then he is dangerous. Keep this dude away from your back door. Yes, please do not let the furry near your back doors. The internet is built on the backs of Goonergy gens wearing programmer socks. I mean, that is true, but again, hacking for money is one thing, but this is a spiteful grifter. If you want to know how deep the political rot is in regards to the furry community, look up To the Ranting Griffin and what was done to him. Allow me to just make that a screenshot and put that in stream material. If you want To the Ranting Griffin. Let me just put this in my stream material. Nim, I am not a super hacker. I am a bird man who lives in a shed. I do not care about your IP or your address. Unless you become Kirsha's boyfriend. In which case, I'm sorry, but I'll have to kill you. You understand, right? Furries vary a lot politically. Actually, there are also milfers, military furries. They seem cool. There's a tiny tangent. I stopped using Audible. I used to use Audible many years ago, and I thought Audible was a pretty good service because I used it to get audio versions of all the great fantasy books and the sci-fi books that I used to read when I was a child. Oh, pardon me. And I signed on to Audible, and I was able to buy with the free credit with the membership that I was able to buy an awful lot of these books. I was like, yeah, this is cool, this is great. And then at some point, Audible was like, we're going to allow people to self-publish on our platform. And then, almost instantaneously, the entire fantasy section of Audible was flooded by self-published Nazi furry isekai novels. And I'm not just talking about, oh, there was a couple uploaded for a joke. No, I mean, for pages and pages and pages, Audible was wall-to-wall on the fantasy section, self-published furry isekai Nazi novels about how Nazi people get isekai'd into furry worlds and become furries, and they teach the peaceful furry communities about the virtues of Hitler and Nazism, and then they lead them in the genocide of their enemies. I'm not joking. Those books are a thing, and Audible platformed them for some reason. Short version in regards to 2, he was previously one of the furry community's biggest comedians, but he got exiled because he was just a center leftist and made edgy jokes. Oh, how tragic. Pregnant Confederate Anne Porian, I hate you that you made me say that on I can second that point about furries. I've hung out with furries, Therians, other kin, right groups, and online. They're just as various as any else. I don't believe you. The virtues. I'm willing to tell Nim to go F himself. Maybe just provide the links directly. You live in Ohio. I don't know how much worse it could get for you. So this took a turn. This really took a turn. I did not expect this to be part of the stream, honestly. And the sad thing is that it's coming up, it's nearly 1 a.m. now, and I don't have too much more time because, again, I need to be up at around 8:50 a.m. tomorrow. It's going to be a real big time. Oh, thank you very much, Thrang, for posting that too. I appreciate that. Allow me to just check 1 or 2 things, because there was a couple more things that I wanted to cover, so I'm not ending stream right this instant, but there is 1 or 2 more things that are worth going over. But yeah, I will make certain that everybody that I know who has some kind of reach will get access to this bit of information. And again, massive shout out to JM Forte for covering this, for making me realize this. And just to summarize things, just to go back to the Kiki Pionpon thing again, I wish to reiterate, I don't want people like Kiki to be banned from Offkai. What I'm saying is that I think that everybody out there who thinks that they can just ignore politics in VTubing or anything like that should see this as a massive wake-up call. And they should stop being angry at Kirsha they shouldn't call her a grifter or anything like that, because I would just ask, what have you done for VTubing? Because Kirsha right now is out there on places like Side Scrollers. She is talking to regular people and encouraging them to consume VTuber content. Regular content. She doesn't say, oh, go watch this other political VTuber. No, she says, go and watch that cute fish woman, Mari_en. You know, the most political VTuber of all, Mari_en. Or somebody else, because they're really cute and they're really entertaining. And I want people to enjoy cute, wholesome VTubers. Well, Mari isn't particularly wholesome, but she is very funny, and she is very cute, and she has also captured my friend's heart, and I hate her for that forever. And Kirsha also, again, with, I think, the Stuttering Greg or something, was it? Like, he said to her, I might be able to arrange a convention that is different from Offkai. And that would never have happened if Kirsha hadn't stood up and made a thing out of this. Kirsha is an easy target living that IRL right now. I'm very sorry for you, Justin T. Yeah, Stuttering Craig. I'm sorry I called him Stuttering Greg for some reason. Why did I say Stuttering Greg? Stuttering Craig, yeah. Like, he literally said, we might be able to organize a new convention now that Offkai has made itself so paused. The Five Guys Sex Haver Mari_en. And this is what I would like people to take away from this stream. That right now, you have a choice. VTubers and VTuber fans everywhere have a choice. And that choice is to ignore everything that Offkai has done and call Kirsche a grifter and say that she should shut up and stay in her corner and never say anything. Or they can say, this has exposed a fundamental lack of competition in the VTuber space. It has shown that the VTuber space is being dominated by one particular political set of political opinions and is dominated by one particular set of personal standards. I think that should change. I think we need to get real capitalism into the VTuber community. We should have competition. There should be competition of thought and competition of ideology. That does not mean harassment. That does not mean violence. That does not mean cancellations. That does not mean mobs. All that means is that people should go out there, they should find people who align with their standards, who are willing to stick by their principles. And they should say to those people, if you make a move, if you form your own convention, if you make your own group, if you stand up for free speech, I will be there to support you. That's all I think should happen. Because competition is good. A free marketplace allows good ideas to float to the top. And it makes sure that all of this anti-capitalist communist nonsense that does not work in a real economy is automatically filtered out. Why do you think that these progressive types always focus on ideology? Because that's the only way they can win. The moment you make a level playing field where all the economic factors are open, where competition is allowed to flourish, communist, socialist, progressive ideas lose every single time without fail. There is not a single case in all of human history where socialist, communist, and leftist ideals have won in a free, open, competitive marketplace. Not one example. The cream always rises to the top, brother. I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. It's hard to have a free marketplace when Visa and MasterCard have a duopoly. I mean, that's a whole other argument for a new day. But I mean, let me put it this way. Can you imagine if Visa and MasterCard started cancelling Kirsche? That's when I would say to her, God damn, woman, you have truly made it. I am so impressed by you. You can't say you're a literal who any longer. You look me in the eyes and call yourself a literal who when Visa and MasterCard are cancelling you. Simp. Yes, I am a simp for the fluffy tail. The moment there is any sort of even halfway organized resistance, even just let's show up to the boards, to the school board meetings, there has to be a disproportionate response or they lose. Visa and MasterCard have done that. Well, they haven't cancelled Kirsche, but they have cancelled people like Null, and they've done things like Blacklist, Gab, and all these other places. If you had a few hours, I'd argue that point. Also need to catch up with you over the truckers convoy debacle. Yeah, we really should. I'm sorry that, well, I'm not necessarily sorry that this stuff is happening in the VTuber community, and I am a VTuber commentator. People blaming sorry, I just need to drink of water. 1 second, please. People blaming Kirsche for bringing politics into VTubing are crazy. Every week, some Twitter weirdo tries to cancel a VTuber who did nothing wrong. Yes, that is a very salient and wise point. And again, I don't advocate for political engagement. You don't need to become a hardcore capitalist. You don't need to go and subscribe to Milo Yiannopoulos or Ben Shapiro or any of this kind of stuff. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. All you need to have is principles. And you need to be willing to stand by your principles. You need to say, I will judge people according to these standards that I have. And you are not going to manipulate me into kowtowing to a mob. Ever. Just stand on your principles. That's all that I asked. Only every week, every day. Yes, that is so true. There's a whole bunch of cancellation documents I've never even read because there's just so many of them. And most of them are stupid, and most of them are ridiculous. They're funny to read, but they really are ridiculous. Alright, I'm just going to very quickly look at archives of the L4 links. Great, people are archiving this stuff as well. Oh, for goodness sake. So that's the Niji sister stuff. I'm just looking through my stuff and seeing if there's anything here that is worth commenting on. I think I've actually covered most of the stuff that I wanted to on this stream, surprisingly enough. Yeah, I have. We're more or less at the end of things. There has been an enormous outpouring of support about all of this for Kirsche. And I'm very proud because, again, even as somebody, I used to say before I became a content creator of sorts, that I don't understand why people who are streamers or content creators ever focus on the negative opinions when they have so many positive people behind them. I understand now why it's so hard to ignore the negative opinions when you're a content creator. So I have full sympathy with Kirsche finding it very difficult to let go of people having negative opinions of her, especially when she knows that they're lying about her deliberately and intentionally. And I really want everybody to do their best. You don't have to love Kirsche. Like, I love Kirsche, but I'm never going to ask everybody here to even like Kirsche. All I want to ask people is that you acknowledge that she will stand on her principles regarding free speech in the same way that I will stand on my principles of free speech. Because people have argued with me on TVA, and people have been going, oh, I'm really scared of Proctor banning me for saying this. Or they've been saying, oh, I've said this. Oh, that guy over there, he stated an opinion that Proctor doesn't like, so Proctor's going to ban him. No. I'm never going to ban people for saying that I'm wrong. I'm never going to ban people for saying that I have the wrong opinions. Because guess what? You're allowed to say that. I'm a free speech advocate. I won't ban people for expressing their opinions. If you do not stand up to lies levied against you, they will fester enough to destroy you. Yes. And I support Kirsche when she stands up to lies. I don't necessarily think she should spend all day browsing VT. Unfortunately, she doesn't. But, goddamn, I know far too many VTubers who do browse VT all day and screenshot. I know VTubers who highlight and screenshot every single negative thing that is said about them on VT. And they put them in a folder. And they send that folder to all of their friends. And they say, look at what those horrible people on VT are saying about me. And I'm like, please, 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 get a life. He'll ban you for making bad jokes, though. It depends on the joke. I mean, Super Duper, you're one to say that. You have literally, you pretended to be Rie for months and months and months, explicitly after I said no gay ops. And no parody and stupid accounts in my original set of rules. I let you get away with that for months. Okay, I let you be a Rie anti and then a Rie super fan, and I still don't know which one was the gay op. So you have no right to say I'll ban people for bad jokes when you are still on my forum. Well, to admit the furry hacker thing really surprised me. I think we only don't notice these kinds of things because we don't look. Yianopolis has been irrelevant for years. Last I heard from him, he was working for a Christian home shopping network. He just goes on a bad tear if you type wrong. I do think that people that don't use proper grammar and punctuation are an inferior race, and I'm not going to advocate for their destruction, but I am going to say that I'm not going to pay too much attention if they suddenly start to vanish off the internet. Is all that I'll say. You know, Quisling was a bad man, but sometimes sometimes you do kind of want to turn a blind eye to certain things happening. But anyway, I think we're pretty much done here. We are at 2 hours and 38 minutes. I am extremely grateful for everybody who came to this stream. I'm quite willing to talk about more stuff if people have more stuff to to say. If there's something that people want me to cover, then now is your last chance. I'm more than happy to. But otherwise, Milo Yiannopoulos is definitely someone to look up, if only for a good laugh. Yeah, I just said his name was like the first thing that came to my mind because I know he was a big, like, GG'er. He's one of the people in that, like, enormous parody. Will I be banned from microwaving water for tea? Are you an American? Because I just don't understand why anybody would microwave water for tea. Thanks for the stream. This was very interesting in a good way. Thank you. I wish that I had more time to prepare for this. Because I feel like I said a lot of things during this stream that wasn't entirely coherent, and I wish I had time to structure my arguments a bit better. Because I know I'm incredibly verbose. I say a hell of a lot of stuff, and it's very hard for people to watch. Do the trucker protest video, Dev won't. That's really funny. I might actually do that someday. Somehow Milo was not the gayest dude in GG. Electric kettles are very rare in the US. Americans don't. Yeah, thanks for the stream, boss man. I'm very glad that people are in support of this. I call people out on TVA sometimes. But please, don't ever think that I'm a doomer or that I hate people. If I hate somebody, I'll say. If I dislike somebody, I will say right out to their face, I despise you. Americans don't have access to 240-volt electricity, so we don't have actual fast kettles, so we microwave instead. I do remember when I was in Philadelphia with my mother, we just were shocked at the lack of kettles. We knew there wouldn't be one, but the fact that we had to heat water on a stove for tea was just like, wow, this is really strange. This feels really strange. Really, really strange. We also found it hard to get Marmite, which was another tragedy, but I think we did find Marmite eventually in Philadelphia. I really want to go to America again. I'm seriously thinking of studying remotely for an American college, and I would really like to just go over to America for a college semester or something. That would be really cool. I want to go to some remote part of America which isn't too paused. Thing is, with Kirsha, she's big enough, albeit barely, to hold up under this BS. There's smaller VTubers that would be fracked by this if not opposed. I agree. And if any of those VTubers want my support, I'm here. Proctor, you ever gonna go to Canada? No. I'm never gonna go to Canada. Not even to rescue Denna from Canada. My parents use a kettle, but if they accidentally do it at the same time they run the microwave, it blows the circuit breaker. It's unironically easier to make heated water in a coffee maker than on the stove. Yeah, but we didn't have access to a coffee maker. We only had tea. Doesn't that cost like 50k though? What does? Like, I mean, I have a friend, so we'll see about that. Talk about a culture shock. I bet you'd leave the US very disappointed. I've been to the US, and I like the US just because it's so massive. People who live in the US don't really understand what it's like to live in a very small country like Ireland. Even though Ireland only has a small population, the fact that Ireland is very geographically small, come see me, no. It means that you are always close to other people in a way you just aren't in America. Because America, you can drive for 6 hours in any direction and still be in the same state. In Ireland, if you drove 6 miles in any direction, you would be in the ocean for the last 2 miles, for the last 2 hours. And it's just very hard to get Americans to understand that. I love the vastness of America. I am a very adventurous person, despite the fact that life circumstances have conspired to keep me in my home for like 4 years at this point. You have no idea how pissed off I was that COVID happened right as I was really starting to stretch my wings and be like, I want to go to different countries. I want to start traveling. I want to start flexing my fingers and going to places that I've never been to before. And then COVID happened. And for 2.5 years, I was stuck in my house. Well, not my house, but our farm, our field, pretty much. COVID wasn't too bad for me. And now, with the economy and everything, it's much harder to travel. But I really want to travel, guys. I really, really, really want to travel. The distance from Los Angeles to New York, traced as a straight line, is just shy of 100 kilometers longer than the distance between Lisbon and Moscow. What's the landlord situation now? It's in arbitration. our landlord thing is basically their ability to throw us out is locked until we are looked at by the Regional Tenancies Board, which will study our case. Our case is basically that we are not eligible for their kind of tenancy. So if the RTB rules that we are not eligible to be part of the RTB, then our tenancy officially falls outside of the regular eviction guidelines. And so our landlords will then have to take us to civil court in order to remove us from our property. And they will have to pay the court fees. We won't. And if they go to civil court, we will have hundreds of people in our neighborhood that are willing to testify for our good name. They will be willing to testify for the tens of thousands of euros that we have spent making our home livable and living on our own and having no contact with our landlords except for the rent that we pay to them. We can make that case before a civil court, and I am nearly certain that a civil court would side with us. That would say, no, that the landlord does not have the right to throw you out, given all the work you put into the property and everything like that. A JP drama tuber had a video mentioning cover lost a court case, but I don't have the court document with me right now, related to Hollow ID and patent. I think that might be interesting to look at some point. I'm American and understand how huge the country is, hence why I despise the anti-gun crowd. These idiots can't fathom how dangerous it can get when you're alone. I agree. It's very different to go on vacation and living/working in a foreign country, even one you are culturally and ethnically close to. Most are frustrated after returning many such cases. Where I live, it's a literal 5-hour drive in any direction for a town. Real cities are more than double that. I'm really jealous of you, Justin T. I really am. I would love to be in a place like that. I really would. Hopefully you win your case. Getting evicted sucks. I mean, there's nowhere to go. This is the thing. There is nowhere in Ireland for us to go. We've looked. We've spent a year and a half looking for any alternative to our place. There's none. That's how bad the housing crisis is in Ireland. Like, we have like one man, me, and then we have my elderly parents. My youngest parent is in his mid-60s, and my mother is 75, and she has cancer. Do you have any idea how hard it is to get an apartment, a flat in Ireland if you are a healthy young adult with a high-paying job and no pets and a married partner? It's impossible. Nobody can do it. People are moving overseas because they cannot get apartments in Ireland. Our prospects are zero. This is the only place in the entire country we can live, unironically, without hyperbole. Sorry. So yeah, we're not moving. We're not moving. There is no way we are moving from this place. Is Ireland's housing crisis better or worse? Worse. Much worse. There's something like 10,000 Irish homeless people right now, and the government is just not building any new houses. They're flat out not building any new houses. And they are importing thousands and thousands of migrants, and they're saying migrants take priority over citizens. I think the next election will be very interesting, because the Irish people are pissed off about this, and they are starting to notice. They are really starting to notice. I think it's going to be a very interesting few years for Ireland, and frankly, I don't want to be here when the fires start. I would much rather be in some random northwestern right-wing American state with thousands of miles to the nearest city. I want to be somewhere like that when things kick off in Europe. I don't want to be in Europe. Is there a reason companies aren't building houses to fill demand? Honestly, I actually don't even know. It's something to do with the problem is the standards for new buildings are according to for new. Basically, the problem is, as far as I know, the problem is that the EU has very, 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 very high standards for new buildings. If you build a new house in any EU country, first of all, you have to make sure that it is environmentally friendly. Which, is about, I speak with about as much contempt as you can possibly get. And you have to put in high levels of insulation. You have to put in electric heating. You cannot have a wood-fired stove. You cannot have a coal-powered heater. You cannot have an oil heater or anything like that. It must be built to these exact standards. Anything less than that, you don't get planning permission. And of course, these houses are very expensive to build. The bureaucratic class is running rampant. They import people because they rely on centralized bureaucracies. The bureaucracy is expanding to see the needs of the expanding, to meet the needs of the expanding bureaucracy. Yes. Electric heating, that shit is expensive. Yes. 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 And the thing is, it's insane too, because I can go to my local beach and I can stock up enough fuel from driftwood to keep a wood-fired stove running for an entire day, which is environmentally friendly because all I'm doing is burning waste wood. That's carbon neutral. I'm not adding pollutants to the atmosphere or anything. Meanwhile, the government says, if you want your house to be registered, you need to install an electric heater. You know what an electric heater takes? Where does the power, where does all the massive amounts of clean electricity for an electric heater come from? Oh yeah, it comes from a coal-fired or oil power plant. Do you really think they're using solar panels? Do you really think they're using wind power to power electric heaters? To power, like, what are they called? Vacuum heaters or something? No. Or whatever. No. They are starting up new coal and gas power plants to drive the electricity needs of these new heaters. Polish coal plants here. Yeah, exactly. It is complete and total insanity. You're better off with natural gas than electric. Yeah, it's objectively better. But no, it's not green. It's not green because it's not electric. I run wood stoves here in Yukon. 14-ish could cord for 2 large buildings. You cannot beat wood for reliability if you have wood. Yeah, and I'm surrounded by trees. I can go out and I can collect falling wood all day. Anyway, I've started tangenting. I've really started tangenting. I didn't realize that somebody was watching my stream when they've just contacted me. I won't say who it is, but it's rather funny. That's exactly what I always tell these idiots on the clean electricity train, but they never listen. Would leaving the EU make things better or worse for Ireland, i.e. no longer under EU regs but potentially open to retribution? I mean, look at how Brexit went. Because Brexit was supposed to be, oh yeah, we're reclaiming our sovereignty. The EU will never have a hold on us again. And they just appointed all their own terrible bureaucrats that are even worse than the people in the EU. Start that implies you ever stopped. You know, I'm reminded of how the federal government wanted to phase out gas ovens because of my danger to health. Ask anyone in favor of green energy their opinion on nuclear and then discard their opinion when they don't like it. Yeah, exactly. That's the elephant in the room that nobody talks about. You need to go to bed. I need to stop being on the internet, guys. I need to stop being on the internet. But no nuclear because the Soviets having shit safety standards and Fukushima being in tsunami central means it's unsafe. I mean, Fukushima is an argument for the safety of nuclear power. Like, Fukushima, less radiation was released by Fukushima than, I think, 3 Mile Island or something. I mean, they evacuated anyway, but that's because the Japanese are completely anal about safety. And yet Fukushima, the reactors were hit by something like 2 or 3 times the amount of water they were ever built to protect against. And they still barely released any radiation at all. They don't have to leave the EU to remove stupid requirements. But I mean, look at the guy who's in charge. Well, he was, like Leo Varadkar. He was a gay Indian. He wasn't an Irishman. So sack all government positions and start randomly conscripting citizens from the phone book to fill them. That would unironically do a better job than what we have right now, honestly. Take a rest, man. Don't let the tangent train leave the station. Yeah, I will stop talking. Of course, everybody comes out of the woodwork to start asking me stuff. Maybe, like, if you have questions, wait for the Wednesday stream, because I'll stream on Wednesday and we can talk about it then, okay? Because I'll need stuff. I have no idea what I'll talk about on Wednesday after all this. Canada has all the space and tech for nuclear. Ugh, that would be so nice. So Japanese are very anti-nuclear because of our little World War II foibles. Yes, we did a little trolling of Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. A little trolling, and the Japanese have been salty ever since. I think some of that has to do with the type of radiation that's produced, as well as I forgot what it's called. And Fukushima is safe for habitation again. Wow, the things you can do with a bit of elbow grease and safety standards and IQ over 90. I agree. Dear God, guys, I'm going to bed, okay? I'm going to bed. I'm ending stream. Good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice night. I love all of you, except the people that I don't like. End stream. Good night. Good stream. Good night. Good night. Have a good night. Thank you again. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to my rambling and mostly agreeing with me. Good night.